Howdy. Today, there's 3 episodes today, per usual. There's no 2-parters today. One of them, nobody cares about. I mean, the episode's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just, it can't hold up to Rascals and a Fistful of Datas. It's not even a
True
contest.
Q is the most memorable Q episode.
Is it?
When everyone thinks of Q, everyone thinks of True Q.
Oh,
Yeah, I kind of forget this episode exists.
Yeah, I completely forgot it was. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's right, the girl from the Wonder Years or whatever. Yeah.
And I mean, the episode's fine.
It's fine.
It's impressive to think there's an episode with John Delancey that's not memorable.
Yeah. I mean, he's kind of barely in it.
As he should be.
The concept's kind of fun. It's interesting enough. It's better than the one where Riker got Q powers by far.
I don't.
That one's almost.
But that one
better
was more
because
memorable.
It's wackier, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's not a good episode, but at least it's memorable. Yeah.
That's also a time where Riker swears 2 times in one sentence in my Star Trek. He's not allowed to do that.
Yeah, True Q's okay, but it's not going to compare to Picard as a kid, or we get a Western episode. I mean, come on.
Yes. Yeah. I'm called Durango. Oh, Troy. It's a Troy episode, kinda. And it's a good Troy episode. She's not trying to, like, sense people's feelings and failing.
Yeah, somebody asked if there's a good Troy episode, and that might be it, yeah.
Well, there's plenty of good Troy episodes. Like,
there's the Romulan one.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
Whenever someone thinks, is there a good Troy episode, it's always Face of the Enemy. And can we think of any others?
The one we were just discussing?
Okay, other than Fistful of Datas. And
I mean,
that
Disaster, kind of, although it's not really about her.
Oh, yeah, Disaster was pretty good. The Troy
kind of my guilty pleasure.
Guilty pleasure. It's a good episode.
Yeah, it is a good episode.
I think if any episode's a guilty pleasure, it's the Starship Mine.
What about Man of the People? That was a Troy episode. We watched that last week.
That episode blows.
That's the one where, you know, she's making out with a emotion vampire.
Yeah, I just removed that from my mind.
But we just watched it a week ago.
We literally watched it a week ago.
Data gets exposed to the emotion vampire, and the vampire just like starves to death.
Well, let's see. I'm looking up Troy episodes, and for some reason it immediately brings up Loxana Troy. But Menage a Troy's, that's a Troy episode.
Ugh.
What are other ones? There's the one where she's in the cloud formation. She's, where are you? Eyes in the dark. One moon.
I liked that one until, like, I figured out what they were actually trying to do.
Hydrogen. That's all they need. One moon circles. Except it doesn't circle, because that's not how electrons work, but it's close enough.
If only there was a simpler way to get across the point of hydrogen.
Like the word hydrogen?
Yeah, what a novel concept.
Who watches The Watchers? Does that count as a Troy episode? I mean, Troy's in it. Yeah, she has a reasonably significant
Troy's
role.
in almost every episode. That does not make every episode true.
But she has a significant role in that episode. It's not about Troy, but she is a big part of it. I think
The Best of Both Worlds is my favorite Troy episode because she's in it.
Okay. No, Troy had to talk people down from executing someone in Who Watches the Watchers.
Yeah.
Because it was the will of the Picard.
Yes.
Also, 20 seconds to start, so everyone be queued up to True Q. Queued up to True Q. Season 6, Episode 6.
Oh,
I feel like we all worship the Picard here.
Beautiful.
And everybody press play in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, play. I don't think these are the Voyagers counts as a Troy episode. She's not a significant part of that episode. To her leaf. In the Argolis cluster. Wow, this is the third time we've been to the Argolis cluster. Why does so much happen in the Argolis cluster? Oh, she looks real 80s or 90s.
Yeah, she looks like she's ready to do some aerobics.
Some jazzercise.
Yeah.
Yeah, she could
Isometric
join
exercise.
Crusher and Troy.
Well, she doesn't have a degree in fashion, apparently.
This actress who plays Amanda Rogers, by the way, is Olivia Dabo. And I think she was 24 at this time. But she's done a lot of work. She played Princess in one of the Conan movies. She played Molly, the girlfriend in the movie Greedy with Michael J. Fox. And she's played a lot of other stuff, including the voice of Ahsoka Tano in Star Wars.
Oh, she's Ahsoka. I mean, you listed off a whole bunch of things that I have no idea what you're talking about, but Ahsoka Tano, I know who that is.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to try and hear that this whole episode. That's all I'll be able to focus on.
The way that Captain Picard narrates Amanda Rogers, and I always think that she's somehow related to Mr. Rogers.
That's the reason why she's so powerful.
Amanda Rogers has all the specs and
Mr.
diagrams
Rogers
at home.
Bugs at home.
Of course. She has all these imaginary friends, just like Mr. Rogers.
Imaginary. Rogers' friends were not imaginary.
I love how they
Where
address it each
Mr.
every
Rogers.
single time a new person comes onto the Enterprise, just how big these rooms are.
Yeah,
Look at this bowl.
it's a good ball.
It has a whole bowl.
And we don't have
you see-
bowls like this on my colony.
Did you see the video of the true size of the Enterprise and just how much empty space there is?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Hang on,
where
that's
all
not
the
my
tennis
video.
courts
Were
go.
you watching another Star Trek channel?
Yeah, I believe so.
You fiend.
This is I don't know what you thought this was, but
Why does she have a bowl of leaves
I'm-
and rocks, by the way? Why is that in the guest quarters?
That's where all the rocks
that-
come
that-
from on the Enterprise when it gets attacked.
That's for
potpourri
the-
was like a big thing in the early 90s.
That's
Yeah.
like potpourri for like the Portia delegation.
Puppies.
Maybe that's what's missing from my
Yay!
house. I don't have a bowl of rocks.
That's what they should have had in the
You should
Enterprise. Is like each quarters has like a self-sustaining puppy colony inside. of it.
Are these puppies actually living entities that
Oh, I
she's
like
just
that
whisking out
chair.
of existence? Is this killing them? Or are they going somewhere else?
And
They're
that's
they're like they cease to exist.
I'd like to believe
she
they
just-
just go back to Earth.
She just creates living beings for about a minute and then sends them back into oblivion. That's nice.
If this
Well,
was
it works
a,
just like the transporter.
if
She
this
creates an
was a
exact
different
copy.
episode, that's kind of teasing in the like before the intro would suggest that at the climax of the episode, the Enterprise is going to be attacked by like a swarm of puppies.
Yes, exactly.
that
Oh.
Is anybody
overwhelm
here-
its systems.
Speaking of
Is
intros, I
anybody-
wanted to rant about something that 5 minutes and that I just didn't. I've been watching Battlestar Galactica recently. I mean, people are saying that, I should because it's a good show. And yeah, it's all right. But one thing that really bugs me is every single episode starts with a previously on that you have to skip. And then there's a
Right.
cold open. And then there's the title sequence. And then it gets into the episode. The issue
Well,
is the
it
title
existed
sequence.
before.
The title sequence has spoilers for the upcoming episode in it. It's a bunch of
Oh, yeah.
images of what's happening. It's like, why? Why?
It's a weird thing, yeah.
I think
It
we're
exists-
He's
getting
not doing that
So
a couple
they-
seasons in. Like, third season,
Shows of the
so yeah.
time,
The third and
from
final
early
season.
2000s stuff did generally have shots from the show
There were
itself in,
four.
but they
I think we're
deliberately
getting
picked ambiguous shots most of the time.
Well,
we're
I
getting
don't want.
playthrough from somebody.
Bill, you cut out. I didn't hear you.
We're getting playthrough of the episode's audio from somebody.
I don't hear it. Oh, I heard it. A brief second of it. That's the Noble Gaunt.
You could try activating Discord's built-in noise suppression.
I feel like Battlestar was good right up until the point where it got canceled, and then it went off the rails.
Well, I'll be finding out for
It
myself
wasn't
over the coming
canceled.
weeks.
Actually, they ended it voluntarily after 4 seasons for reasons not clear to anyone.
What organ is
Also, the
displayed
third
on that
season was already
monitor
pretty bad.
on the
All of
right?
them. All of them are displayed on that. Oh, wait, on the right. I think
Yeah.
that's her brain.
As far as I
doesn't
know,
look
they were.
like a brain.
It doesn't look like a brain, but this is also Star Trek.
This looks like a colon.
Yeah, it's like the intestines.
It is a Romulan code.
Why do they
You
have a
can tell
bookshelf of
because its
tricorders? Is that really the best
Yeah,
way
that's
to
a
store them?
terrible
That's
way.
such an
There's
inefficient
like
way of
2
storing
on
them, yeah.
each shelf.
Why are the shelves so far
You know they
apart?
just get thrown in a drawer.
Yeah.
Why do they even have stocks of tricorders? Why don't they just replicate them as needed?
Mm-hmm. Tricorders are basically like the pocket, like the TI-84 calculators of the future.
Like the camera only has 4 props like on screen at one time. I wonder how many tricorder props they actually had.
Apparently 8.
I think they.
That's
I
probably all
bet
of
they
them.
used all that.
Oh wait, there's 2 more at the bottom.
Come on,
Why is
episode,
she-
get to Delancey already.
No, we have to have the bit where she saves someone from a falling barrel. Not soon enough to save Worf.
Well, we do get a barrel in the episode, so that's a good thing at least.
Yeah. But that should
Do you
be
ever
the
notice-
next scene, I think. Maybe scene after.
Here she was scanning herself, so it makes sense that she's holding it backwards. But do you ever notice sometimes the guest stars hold it backwards, like Data's mom?
Ah.
Yep.
She was
That was
using
just-
it backwards.
Is that...
That's just a glitch in her computer brain.
I think that guy who just walked off screen, who Amanda Rogers handed the thing to, that looked very much like Brent Spiner from the back. I wonder if that was his stunt double.
Oh, maybe.
I just noticed that warning sign above the shuttle bay door where it said like caution variable gravity area.
Yep.
That's kind of a fun detail.
Oh, look at all those barrels around, though.
It seems like kind of a poor placement for that kind of sign, though, because it's like over the entrance, so you wouldn't be
You
able
can't
to
even see it if you walk in.
Yeah.
Good thing that wasn't Worf. Oh man.
Oh. How did that even fall? Did someone, like, try to balance it exactly perfectly on the railing? What happened?
Worf did it.
think-
He's like,
Maybe it was Q. Woo!
Q did it. Yeah. Q
Okay.
did it to test her.
Right. Oh, that's actually... Yeah, okay.
Yes, spoiler.
Spoilers.
Episode.
Spoiling this 30-year-old television program for you. Sorry.
With his name in the title of the episode.
Title of the episode, yeah.
Why is Tracy not in engineering? Where's Tracy?
oh, here we get to see just a normal
She's in
20th
Captain
century
Picard's
office
quarters,
chair
obviously.
But that-
in the future.
There's
Like
that
that
lady sitting in
design
that
is
chair in the
still
background.
there.
That's
Yeah,
Tracy's
yeah.
chair. Oh, yeah,
there's
she's being
definitely
tested
Q
for sure.
testing her.
So, how are they going to try and rationalize why the core is breaching? Containment just turned itself
No,
off.
it's just gonna happen.
This is what I would do if I was a Q. I would just like float throughout the galaxy and just
This is how they realize.
psych people out by making
Troll
their
people.
warp cores explode or whatever.
All right, she fixed it.
It
Hopefully
would've
she
been
knows
more
about the
impressive
if
schematics
you drew
of
a
the warp core
smiley
so she
face
can
on
put
it.
it back exactly the way it was.
Well, we've already established that she's studied the Enterprise, so we're fine.
She does
there.
have all the specs and diagrams at home, yes. Ah, Troy still has her perm.
Crusher with some new hair, though.
And then Patrick Stewart doesn't get anything.
Hey, Patrick Stewart has hair on the sides. There you are.
Oh,
Hey,
thank
John.
God. Yeah.
Thank God we got
John,
John.
please, please save the episode.
Mon Capitan. Yes, yes, he is. So if she didn't save them, would Q have actually just killed them, or would he have saved them too?
Q couldn't kill Picard. Picard
It's his
can't
favorite pet.
die. Yeah.
So, doesn't
He would
this
stop
episode?
it, but he would he would make them listen to like him talk on and on about something. Sorry, go ahead.
Doesn't this episode make like the whole Voyager story arc about the Q Civil War and then producing
Don't worry about
offspring
it.
between two Q?
Yeah, don't
Like,
worry about it.
completely irrelevant.
Being a new Q actually just like accumulates a lot of experience really quickly and ends up like the old stuffy Q in just like a couple years.
It does make it
There's also
irrelevant, but those episodes were several years apart, so, hopefully you forgot about that. And everybody did forget about this, because nobody remembers this episode.
I didn't forget. It's seared.
How are
into
we
my
different
memory.
Q in the new Picard season of
If you
Picard?
like girl, you remember this episode.
If you say so.
I remember that the question that Captain Picard confronts Q with here is, were her parents executed by the Q continuum? And there's no reason to disbelieve that they were not. Which raises the question that like a contradiction where Quinn asks later on, or Quinn declares later on Voyager that if he commits suicide, then that means the Q will have to deal with the unknown for the first time since the new era began. Well, if her parents were executed here, then that means that the Q has died before.
But they sort of hand-wave that with, they aren't actually Q at the time that they're executed.
Voyager
They're
doesn't care
mortal.
that much about continuity.
Like when John Delancey, what's his name? Q. His name is Q. When John Delancey was turned mortal, he was going to die. And they were fine with that.
Well, they stopped it at the last second, right? I
Only
feel
because he
like,
showed it.
like in reality,
Outside, though.
it's just that you have different writers and they
Oh,
don't
bye, Captain.
know all the material to establish the continuity for things, little details like this. But it's unfortunate that they don't have someone like on staff that is like the keeper of the lore,
The sacred Star Trek
Well, some
texts.
franchises do that.
Yeah, they have like an old Mark Hamill sitting around in the back lot who like lives on a tarp and has seen every episode.
Oh, no, but we're getting show audio. It's going through.
It's like two divorced parents who hate each other, but they want to have a united front with the kids, and
Pals.
Picard's face.
That's a good expression, Captain. They're
I
best
like
of
to
friends.
think that there's just this one time Q showed up on the Enterprise when he was bored, but largely
Wait,
kind of.
Data just has no affirmations to. Hey, you're suddenly in your room.
But the chat says that Olivia Dabo did not play Ahsoka, that Ashley Eckstein played Ahsoka. I remember that Ashley Eckstein did play Ahsoka, but I think we're talking about two different animated series.
There's only... What do you mean? She only shows up in the one. Well, two.
She's into. Yeah, I think it's the same voice actor for the both.
But anyway,
Well, she
like to-
shows up in 3 series, but one is a different actress entirely because it's live action.
I
didn't
like
they
to
have
imagine-
the voice actor for the one comeback, the Starbuck?
I don't know.
Didn't she do Bo-Katan voice?
I have
I
no
thought.
idea. I just know that the XO is General Tullius, and the evil blonde robot lady is Kerrigan, Queen of Blades.
Katie Sackhoff is the actress you're thinking of, and yes, she did both the voice and the live.
Okay. Now that I'm thinking about it, yeah, they have very similar facial structure, probably because they have the exact same facial structure.
I liked her in
Well-
Second Life, but they canceled that, didn't they? They didn't make a second season.
The Second Life is still around. You can play it.
Yeah, but there's no.
Q, what are you doing, Q? You can't... No, leave her alone.
Yeah,
This is
I was
another
gonna say,
dating
there's-
tip time.
there's still an episode going on.
Yeah, but, I mean, nothing's happening in it for the next 10 minutes. They're just debating
Right.
whether, if she should be a Q.
I like to think there's an episode where Q showed up, or it wasn't an episode, but in between, Q showed up for like a weekend, or maybe like 30 minutes, and not too much of it. Like he just shows up and he's bored, and so they just like send Ensign Voorhees down to like play tennis with them. and you know, maybe he like
no.
goes back down to 10 forward, and then he just leaves and they continue their survey mission.
Why did Picard change into that jacket? What's going to happen to him? He was just wearing a uniform in the last one. How dare
Oh yeah, that behaving like a Q, that's a big improvement.
The jacket exists because Patrick Stewart complained he was sick of wearing the same thing all the time.
But he looks good in the uniform.
Interesting choice of hairstyle they gave Amanda Rogers. I think this is the only time I've seen Olivia Dabo with her hair up in a role.
She's got the mono Leia.
It's the cinnamon bun.
And just remember the pitch meeting for Star Wars. Like, oh, Princess Leia, skin like porcelain, hair like a continental breakfast.
Jesus Christ.
Are you
Looking
guys
at
still
her
getting show on
filmography,
this?
there's so much interesting stuff on here. She played at the end of Wayne's World 2. She plays the girl that Garth ends up with, who's basically like a female Garth.
That's right, I completely forgot that.
No,
because
tell me
it barely
again
looks
why
like her.
Beverly Crusher isn't the counselor of the ship.
Why, who's not the counselor?
Tell me again why Beverly Crusher is not the counselor of the ship.
Dr. Crusher is really good at having these kind of conversations because of all the times like barrels fall on people and she has to explain that they're paralyzed for the rest of their lives.
She's got good bedside manner, unlike McCoy.
One advantage that Beverly has over Deanna is that Beverly's a mother, so she's got experience with young adults.
You don't know that McCoy isn't a mother.
Firsthand.
Pretty much every time we see a generation give advice to another character, they do a better job than Deanna ever had.
Well, I mean, if Deanna did her job very well, there wouldn't be any conflict for the episode.
I think, is this the only time we have the Q communicating through like a shadow?
Yeah, but they can communicate in all sorts of weird ways, like the time one just showed up in the shuttle. Just poke their head through walls and talk to people.
What's funny is that if you read this episode correctly, and that and specifically that moment, the Q are both powerful and all-knowing enough to realize that they're really only doing that for the sake of the audience, because if they needed to communicate, it wouldn't happen visibly or audibly.
I don't know why they sent this Q on this mission, because he's clearly like one of the worst ones when it comes to getting things done in an orderly manner.
Because we like him, that's why.
Oh, okay. He's the audience choice.
Yes.
The people's choice.
The
Q
people's
is the one Q that's assigned to deal with the humans.
Yeah, he's like a specialist.
It's not so much that he's a specialist, it's more
way.
that nobody else wants to deal with us.
No, I think that this Q just volunteers for the job anytime it's dealing with the humans because he wants to mess with them.
He likes Picard.
One
He
thing
does have an
that
interest in humans, yeah.
Yeah, he has a
one
man
thing that
crush
is
on
more
Picard.
powerful than the Q are the writers. Ha.
True.
What a Q incidence.
Wow.
Get out.
What a joke. So if she actually chooses to become a Q, does she have to change her name to Q?
Yes.
That's the one thing that the Qs are powerless to affect, is their own names.
I'm surprised that Q isn't calling her Q.
That
my
one
name
Q
is
got
Harold
put in an
Johnson.
asteroid because he wanted to be called like Gary. They're like, you can't have that.
Has anybody ever seen the movie Buckaroo Banzai Adventures Across the Sixth Dimension? I think it was, or maybe
That's an
That
awesome
sounds like a
fucking
movie that's
movie.
from the 60s.
Was the fifth? It had
No,
it
it's
was
from 1984, I believe.
Had Peter Weller.
Yeah. Peter
And-
Weller, man. RoboCop, yeah.
Yeah, that's,
and it had
that's the part that got
Jeff
him RoboCop.
Goldblum. Anyway, so there's
That's right.
there's these aliens that are comically making contact with Earth, and they've sort of infiltrated, and every one of them gives themselves the first name John,
That's right.
like Q.
But we have a John right here. He's on
It's like
screen
John
right now.
and then an English word usually. They come with the list of them at some point. It's like John Many Jars is one of them. I don't for some reason.
Oh God, that's funny.
Jeez, I only own a few jars. How many jars does John Many Jars have?
I don't
Hundreds
know.
of jars.
Yeah, that movie's from 1984. So
I was right.
Jars.
Cha-ching.
Good
put an
year,
extra
movie.
pip on
That's
your
right.
collar.
We didn't hear the sound effect of you teleporting there.
Oh, he can put it on vibrate if he doesn't want to disturb anyone.
So I'm feeling some weird parallel right now between Amanda Rogers and Ray, and
Real quick, I don't want to interrupt,
From-
but I just have a question about what that brick on the table labeled 25537 is. It's currently out of shop, but if the
It's a
camera
brick.
pans
What do you mean?
back- Why do they have to give it such a unique name?
It's kerosene.
most
But yes,
likely
It's
it's
some
an
reference from the prop master or something.
yeah,
Something
most
we'll never
likely it's
understand.
a reference like that.
Yeah.
So
Wait, she's like Rey, like from Star Wars.
yeah, from episode 7, where she is strong in the Force.
And she
But
had
she's
no
not
training,
immediately
but
great
she's
at
like the
everything.
best Jedi.
She's not immediately great at everything like Rey is.
She's
I
great
hate
at
that
treating.
so much. That happens so much in episode 7. That's not just her either. Finn, like,
She learns
Thank
as
you,
she
sir.
does it.
Thank you.
thanks.
She knows
Yeah,
that she does it.
she's
The
a-
other things are sensible in why she would know how
She's
to
a
use
Mary
them and
Sue.
stuff.
She's a Mary
But she's
Sue.
not. She's not.
Okay, let's leave this discussion
We're
for
not going to
another
get into this
time.
argument. Yes.
How about that Star Trek?
No,
How about that
I'll
cinnamon
come over
bun
there
hair?
and punch you in your face.
I think we should. We got to stop the stream and just we all 9 of us need to discuss the details of
Should
whether
we
or not
switch
the
to
Star
a
Wars
Star Trek,
sequels
Star
were
Wars
good.
Episode 7 watch along?
Oh God.
I like the Force
So
Awakens.
just try to just
That's
shout
all I've
him
got
at
to
the
say
sounds
about
of it.
that.
You can just pause.
I'm
the
gonna have to
episode.
switch to whiskey if that's what we're doing, guys.
If we pause the episode and start talking about the Star Wars sequels, we'll just be on true Q for years.
Well, I'm still trying to follow what's actually happening in the plot, and it seems like right now nothing's happening. She's just kind of having an existential crisis. Is that the whole episode? I think that's the whole episode.
If I found out that I was omnipotent, I wouldn't be so moody about it. They were I don't understand why she's so bummed out.
I don't
Because
know.
now
either,
she doesn't
really.
get to go
Alive.
to school with all the other kids.
She
It's
could go
not
to
like you don't-
school.
Not like if you're a god, you don't get to choose to go to school. Who's going to stop you?
Well, so this episode's about inner conflict, right? So it could be interesting, like if it was a very focused performance and very emotional, but it's like she's
Mhm.
playing it so stoic that the whole thing just feels like wheel spinning.
Maybe.
Like she's going through a range of emotions, but you can barely see it,
So if you found out that you were actually a god, would you want to be a god, or would you give up your god powers so you could get a 9 to 5?
No,
If I found out I was a god, I would need a starship.
Whoa. Let's ask a question.
Yes.
Think you guys know what it is?
What would God need with a starship?
You don't have
Live vaccine bacilli.
I just like it. It's cool. I like having a starship.
Starships are pretty cool.
Is this crazy?
as any superhero from any comic book knows, you have a 9 to 5 even though you've got superpowers. That's your mundane ID or your secret identification.
Yeah,
Did you ever-
you
Because
kind of
identity.
have your cake and eat it too.
I like.
Did you
I
ever?
like just real quick, one more prop. If we look directly in the foreground on the table, we've like a container of 24th century Vegemite.
Yeah, the big one
There
too,
was-
the big jar.
Yeah.
There was a
And
comic
then
book
also you
where
have like some vegetable oil and soy sauce.
one of the villains in Superman, figures out Superman is Clark Kent, and he goes up to the other goes to like the whatever it is, the League of Evil or whatever. And he's like,
Wait,
he's Clark Kent. Let's attack him.
look at that guy behind Picard on the right. Just look at his face real quick. Was that the
He
guy
looks dead inside.
from Wesley's test that yelled at him? His psych test?
Oh,
That guy looks like somebody didn't finish molding his face.
Yeah.
Do you think
Like, you
life
can still
would
see
be
the finger
better
marks.
or worse with like 4 nostrils? Like, would that
Roll
make
'em out
it
there.
easier or more difficult for your nose to get stuffed up?
So Dr.
So-
Crusher was not wearing a hairpiece in this episode, because that looks kind of like a wig. Is that just her hair?
Maybe it would be
It's very
like
poofy.
easier. It would be easier. It would be like better and worse when you get cold because it wouldn't stuff up as easily, but it would be like mega runny.
Ah, the Starfleet
So-
government's modifying the weather.
Yeah, that's an interesting.
Having a 9 to 5 as a god, right? The villains figure out Superman is Clark Kent, and they're
Oh, yeah.
like, "Well, now we can beat him." And the other villains are like, "What? You think he's less bulletproof when he's at the Daily Bugle? You think he's less bulletproof when he's in his pajamas? We know he's Clark
Bugle is
Kent.
where Spider-Man works.
Whatever. Daily Planet. The whatever. The point is, they're like, you. As long as he has to work, that gives us 8 hours where he won't bother us."
Okay.
so I put it in the YouTube chat what I would do if I had Q powers, but essentially I would set real life motions and events in motion to try and recreate 80s and 90s comedies like Weekend at Bernie's.
I would appear out of nowhere with large amounts of money and like finance a reboot of Star Trek: The Next Generation.
You can
Weekend at Bernie's
immediately
himself
take
in
the
Bernie
film stock for
Sanders.
Voyager and make it 4K. Put
Yeah.
that on Amazon.
And then we can sit at home in our underwear, like eat
But you-
pints of ice cream.
But you gotta
watching the-
keep. You gotta keep
Firefly
the
season
3D
2.
effects the same.
Yeah,
You got to use that giant macrovirus model exactly as it was.
yeah. If we became all powerful, we could just remaster Star Trek and then just watch it for all eternity.
What if we took the film and we turned RTX on?
Wow, that'd be. I think that's what they
Whoa.
just did there. Like that was just a taste.
Is that just what Beverly actually looks like?
Yeah,
Is
that's
it revealing her true self?
RTX on.
What kind of dog was
Isn't
that?
real life already ray traced?
No.
Yes, that's the joke. Congratulations.
Shh.
So, what kind of dog was that? Was that the kind of dog that Janeway has?
That
Was that a
Dr.
setter?
Crusher.
That was
I
an
don't
Irish
I thought it was
setter,
an
wasn't it?
Irish setter. Wait,
Well,
is
she is Irish.
Irish or Scottish?
Oh, she's Scottish.
I don't think she's either, actually. I think her grandma just lives in space Scotland. I don't think she's actually Scottish.
Wasn't Dr. Crusher?
You know, I
from
think
the
I
movie?
know.
I think that she was. I think her maiden name is something Scottish.
Howard.
Uh,
Howard.
But she doesn't say that she was doing things before people were in diapers. How can she really be Scottish?
Has anybody seen the anime The Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya?
Oh, I have. It's a strange show.
I haven't seen the entire thing, but after I've only seen like the first 12 episodes maybe. But after you get into the premise that it's about these high school kids, the main character Haruhi, you start kind of discovering that the reason that she's quirky or whatever is that she's a god, but she doesn't even realize that she is.
Why does she have to have
So-
such a complex gesture to use her
Yeah,
powers?
I was just going to ask, why does she have to throw up gang signs to do her magic?
Like, I feel like that's an acting decision.
Ooh,
and
we're
it's a
on the
terrible
battlefield.
decision.
Enterprise.
Every queue has
So
a
what
different
would-
gesture they have to do.
It's
But
definitely a blue screen.
This is my favorite
It's such a
scene
blue
in the
screen.
entire episode.
wow,
She
look
has
at
to
that
have
little
spirit
glow around her.
fingers.
Also,
what
I'd
would
like to retract my previous comment about the poor placement of the variable gravity environment warning sign, because as we saw, the snout was actually posted on multiple walls.
what would your gesture be to use your Q powers?
Well, I
just
can't
did, like, a
snap my
thumb
fingers,
up.
so it wouldn't be that.
Snapping your
It's
fingers
not that
while
hard to
making a
snap your
Z.
fingers.
I would wiggle my nose like the chick on Bewitched.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, why not something no one could see you do? Like, I don't know.
I think I
Yeah,
would do
don't
a
have
clap.
They don't have to do
in my
any
head.
gesture at all. They just do it for show.
You could do like
Maybe.
finger
Click your
guns.
heels 3 times.
Yeah,
I mean,
I'd
you
be
want
all
it to be
about
something
that,
kind
like
of-
when Wei Yun said it's time to start packing, the way he claps his hands right in front of him, that kind of clap.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, because you want it to be something kind of badass. Because if you reveal your powers to anybody, like you want it to look cool.
How about the wink and the gun?
You got just
Yeah,
some
I
crazy
mean-
hand gestures from
Oh.
Naruto.
Like
That's what
Isaac
she's
on the
doing,
love
isn't
boat,
it?
the double finger point.
Right.
You could like
Yeah,
dab,
putting your
hands
and
in the
then
gun appears in your
everyone on the
hand, then
bridge
you
would
use
turn
your
into
other power.
dogs.
Dab.
Oh yeah, that's a good one too.
Oh, okay.
Like her
Don't
said,
do it, Rogers. Don't do it.
What if you just clench your butt?
That's your gesture?
What if you like,
No one knows you're doing it.
unless you like let out a fart?
Look at that fucking hat.
That's a nice hat.
that hat is too
And
tall.
Riker
He's
just
tall
takes it
enough
in
already.
stride. He's
Is it-
not even phased.
That makes him like 7'2" with that hat.
This is the first time Riker's had to
Jonathan
put up with
Frakes-
this kind of
Jonathan
nonsense.
Frakes is Abraham Lincoln.
I wish I'd been in the production meeting for this, where they said, "Okay, we need him to have like a tall hat, like whatever
Taller.
you're thinking,
Doesn't he?
taller,
Doesn't he
Hey,
look
Ryan?
taller,
Taller.
get it."
Hey, with my
Did we-
fist
wait.
this week.
Attempted
Is this-
an American remake
the
of
prop
Doctor
lady
Who.
quits.
Is this suit
I
a
think
reuse
it's
of a
just
suit
trying to
from
go
the
for
Mark
it
Twain
faster.
episode? I feel like we've seen this outfit.
Ooh.
Almost
It
certainly.
might be.
Mark Twain is back and more
Gosh.
powerful
He was in a
than
police-
ever.
He was in a
I
police
was
uniform.
He was in
I
a police
was
uniform there,
you.
but I mean,
I
you could
was
just have someone else's outfit.
Any of
Hey,
the
Ryan,
stories
he's
that I
6'3",
wrote.
so
Century to steal
Oh my
all
God,
your
this is chaos.
registry
I
numbers.
can't. I'm not allowed to
This
mention the
guy
Mark
would-
Twain episode, or this happens.
is it Mark Alamo's outfit from the poker scene?
Mark Alamo, the poker player, maybe.
Mark Alamo.
Oh, fuck.
Mark Alamo could have
No, I
met
think his-
Mark Twain.
I think his
Mark
costume was
Twain,
brown
I
in that
like
scene.
to play poker myself sometimes.
I once had a hat
I-
twice as tall.
I just looked it up. It's not brown. It's very, very bright red.
Oh, okay. Honestly, this
Yeah,
suit
they
doesn't
have,
look
like,
that
some louder
crazy.
tones.
Like they would have that in a closet somewhere on a Paramount lot.
Maybe.
Like
Yeah.
they didn't. They probably didn't go
Yeah.
out of their way to make anything special.
Also,
Ryan,
yeah,
you need
you're,
to take a
this
think
is
the
not
collar looks more old-timey.
consensual,
Yeah.
Amanda.
Yeah. We're just talking
Well,
about
she
Mark
she
Twain.
could make
while
her own
Riker
Riker.
gets his
I
free
just
will
can't believe that hat
subverted.
hasn't fallen off.
I think given
It's
the
probably
option, Riker would go
super
for
glued it.
Yeah, it's like attached with like a pole.
Like I don't
It's
think
not
Riker
enough.
would turn her down.
The inside of the
It's
hat is
not
actually a big
enough.
suction cup.
The hat is part of his head.
It's not enough for her to take Riker. She has to make Riker know that he was wrong not to want her in the first place.
Ah. And then she kills him.
Only if necessary.
Right, Ryan, you need to take a screenshot of that and edit out Riker's mustache so he only has a beard and looks like Abraham Lincoln.
Okay. Ah, the
think
people
it's
that the
cute
Q
that the-
executed with a
Yeah, you
tornado.
think
Who
if
executes
the
someone with a
Q
tornado?
wanted- yeah, if they wanted to like kill people, they'd maybe be a little bit more subtle.
What if you just like
maybe-
used a
The
gun?
tornado, honestly.
Give them Ironic syndrome instead of
Well,
kidding them with the freaking.
Oh no,
Use
one of
the
them had a
writer's
heart attack, and then
nonsense.
the other one, in shock at the first heart attack, also had a heart attack.
Yeah,
no, it has to be a tornado because the writers have to be able to pat themselves on the back for making the Wizard of Oz references.
Okay.
What was the surgery where
Oh,
like the
they just
surgery
made it
failed and
exceedingly
killed?
obvious. They called it Kansas.
What was the surgery where the surgeon like failed, I think, and maybe the patient died, and like one of the medical assistants got injured somehow along with the surgeon or something, and they had like a 200 or 300%
It was
fatality rate.
triple
Look at that
fatality rate
fish
because
tank.
someone in the crowd died as well from
Okay, yeah, that's
shock.
how it was.
Yeah. It was the guy was trying to perform the fastest amputation, and the patient
Look at
died.
the-
The
look at the
assistant
fish
died
tank.
because he nicked the.
You know,
very important.
you know.
I
you
learned
should
a
see-
horrible
as a
truth
medical-
about the fish tank. I always thought it's connected to the wall. It's not. It's a standalone. It's a pillar, just in the room.
Ooh.
In some of the behind the scene shots, you get a different angle, and you can very clearly see it's not attached to the wall at all. It's like a good foot away.
It
You should
was
seriously question your decisions as a medical professional, though, if you're like trying to go for the record on fastest amputation.
Robert Liston.
That account is generally considered to be apocryphal.
Besides, that's what we invented the guillotine for.
When you amputate, you have to leave like flesh to cover the stump, so you can't just
removing the
cut.
limb isn't the problem. It's the recovery.
You just need to use like a lightsaber.
Nope, back to
It's
Star
really
Wars.
easy to take someone's limb off. Apparently, you just need a sharp blade, and you got to move real fast.
Yeah.
Just slice down.
You make like a V cut through the flesh, and then you cut the bone at the bottom of the V, and then you bring the flaps together.
So you have to like butterfly someone's leg.
This is somehow even more. This is kind of gross sounding, but it's possibly less difficult to listen to than a discussion about the Star Wars sequels.
Yeah.
Is that Troy's real hair? Is that Marina Sirtis' hair? Why is it in a perm?
Can't be.
Here, I think I found a
Farmer's hair.
diagram, sort of.
How come Patrick Stewart doesn't get a wig? All the women get wigs when they want them. Or, if Rick Berman makes them wear it. Why doesn't Patrick Stewart get a wig?
Did you know that they had a person
They
on
tried
staff for Kate Mulgrew's hair? Like there was a person their job was to make
hair
sure Kate
wrangler.
Mulgrew's hair is perfect all the time, even when it's not.
Riker
be
doesn't get a
perfectly
wig.
imperfect.
Jordy doesn't get a wig. Data doesn't. Well, no, I don't think Data gets a wig.
Picard doesn't get a wig except for that
Picard
one
doesn't get a
episode
wig.
with the flashback.
Why did they only make the women wear the wig? Why can't the men have wigs?
Excuse me, I
Space
need to take a hit
Jewel.
of my vape pen.
Oh,
Oh,
Worf
no,
gets
no.
a wig.
Morph
Michael
gets a
Dorn
wig. Yeah,
Yeah, Dorney.
because his forehead is like on top of his hair. Anyway.
Yeah. His head is a good 6 to 8 inches taller than his actual head.
Yeah. It's weird to see him without the makeup, isn't it? Like it's like, who are you? He looks like a goofy little dude without.
He looks like
without
a
the face
human.
makeup.
I feel like that's Amanda's real hair, though. I don't know about the bun, but I think the main bulk of it is her hair.
What if you did like the Fortnite default dance as your cue gesture?
No. Don't make it weird, Q.
Yeah.
And Executioner.
If necessary.
Hey, Bill, your Q gesture thing won't load. Do you just want to tell me what it is?
Yeah.
Oh, the Picard maneuver. The Picard maneuver can be your cue gesture. There you go.
It'll load if you click on Open Original. Except he just deleted it, so now it definitely won't
Isaac
load.
from the Love Boat.
It's
And
a-
Riker's.
Arrogant pretense.
Riker can only use his Q powers if there's a chair nearby.
Yeah, exactly. I was gonna say the Riker maneuver. He's gotta have a chair. He became a Q, and he snapped his fingers.
Well, if he has
If
Q
you wanted
powers,
to trap-
he could make a chair. He could make a chair appear as part of the gesture.
There you go.
You could trap him on like a perfectly flat planet. You'd just be stuck there
Jesus
on like a gigantic marble.
All right.
puny behavior. Shows you a
If
glimmer.
it'll
You know, if they just executed her, that would solve the continuity problems.
She never shows up again. I mean, she probably
She
shows up in beta canon in some book saving the whole universe, but in the actual show, she just...
She gets executed like shortly after this episode, and that's how the continuity works with the
Oh
the
no, it
shelf
was
support.
another tornado on the USS Beltane. Where did that come from?
An indoor tornado. How crazy! What a terrible tragedy.
What? That's crazy, bro.
Oh no, it's a tornado in the vacuum of space.
A lightning storm in
Oh,
space.
no.
It took her out.
What
I
if
mean, they
use
could just
their
take
power
away her
to-
power. We've already established that they can remove people's power, even in this
No,
same
they do-
episode.
They want to be super cruel and leave that door open so that you can self-destruct, basically.
Did they summon their own tornado?
See, we were right.
So
In
Q's
essence-
requirement is that in order to be a Q, you have to be a jerk. What?
That
Yeah,
that seems
because
to be correct.
you have to be really arrogant because anyone with
I mean,
any
that's
degree
this
of
Q's
modesty
requirement. The other Q
just
probably don't agree
decides
because
that
they threw this guy out for being an
they
agent of
don't wanna
chaos in the
do
first
this.
place. If literally any other Q came to talk to her, it'd probably be fine.
I just saw the Beetlejuice gesture.
Okay, right now we've got the gray upholstered wall panels in the bridge.
Yeah.
I just like everybody to just take note.
For when the inertial
just like
dampers
to-
fail and people get thrown against the walls, you have some nice cushioning.
This is the second episode we've seen where the only reason like the Enterprise is able to fix some planetary disaster is just because they've been hanging out with God on like the weekend. The same
Don't look at the
weekend.
camera. Don't look at the camera.
So apparently those are all actually storage compartments and the writers never used them, but
She
Now
she
you
didn't
know.
even blink.
What do
there.
they store there? Like paperwork?
anything that's required
That's
for the
what they
plot,
call the
change?
the
pad.
writers never used them.
It's like a communal cabinet that people just put things in if they want to get rid of them.
It's like a
I mean,
bunch
I'm
of
thinking of
pens
it like
and
the
pieces
car
of
center
paper and-
console.
It's
You open it up, and there's just like candy wrappers,
Oh.
loose change.
you open you
we
like
need to have
press
her
on one
stop
and like
global
16
warming.
cup
Oh, look, an
holders
aux
pop
cord.
out.
Is she gonna save them? The real test.
How dare you, Amanda?
Oh, her tear went away. It's fine in the wide shot. There we go. We did it. We solved it.
Oh, that gesture there was really cool.
Is she actually just
That
going to
was-
become a Q? I thought she was going to deny that and stay Starfleet because that's, what Star Trek does. Wow.
Yeah, everyone
is-
must join Starfleet at some point or another. That's the real peak of evolution.
She's actually
That
becoming a Q.
single hand gesture there. That single hand gesture
Oh,
there was
no.
way cooler than the double hand.
She's saying,
one
I
she
can't
was
stay
doing
here,
before.
but I also can't be a Q. I need to explore the galaxy on my own. Wait, your parents or your dead parents? Which parents? You can
Her
go back in
adopted
time. Do you want to talk to your
parents.
biological parents?
Yeah.
Oh, does
come on,
she-
I
got
little
zero
centuries
powerful
pass
now.
by so rapidly.
Does that cause a what you call it?
Temporal paradox?
Paradox, yeah.
They don't care. This is Star Trek.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is Star
Mine
Trek
has
really
no
concerned with
meaning.
these things?
She's just gonna go hang out with Baylock.
That's like the most affirming mom line there ever. You're a Q. You can do anything you want.
You're an
Yeah.
immortal godlike being.
Is she a better mom to this girl that she's known for like 3 days than to
Yes,
Wesley?
Oh yeah, I mean that's not even close.
she just barged down on the bridge and wasn't even told to shut up.
Oh my god, we get to watch Rascals.
It's a lot easier to be like really nice and helpful to someone who you only have to see for 3 minutes at a time once a day. Wesley, she saw 24 hours a day for 18 years.
And she had to listen to him whining all the time.
Yeah, she gets to be more of like a cool aunt instead of like a mom.
Yeah, that's always the way.
This is
I
the
see
way.
someone just came on just to watch Rascals.
I'm here to watch Rascals. That's what I'm in it for.
Yeah,
That's one of my
I love
favorite
that
episodes.
episode.
Rascals is a
Hello.
classic top 10 episode. Best
Guys,
episode in the entire franchise.
I have
Okay,
been advised
I-
by Netflix that this episode contains sex and fear.
Oh,
I think that's general for the whole series, actually.
oh, it definitely.
Because I've seen that on
fear.
I've seen
that
that
shows
on
up a
many
lot.
episodes.
So, Felon,
Yeah.
what's up?
Oh, no, I was just saying we get to watch Rascals.
Yeah. 1 minute countdown to
That's it,
Rascals.
man. I'm so excited.
I just imagine that every day at the end of the day, Wesley would come back to their quarters and be like, "Nobody listened to me. If they had just listened to me, everything would have been over in 10 minutes."
I mean, he was
Shut up, Wesley.
I wanted
Shut
to go
up,
to Tashi
Wesley.
Station and pick up some power converters. Wait,
I wanted to go to Kobayashi Maru Station. That's one of the nerdy sentences I've ever said.
Yay.
the Rascals is one of my favorite episodes because whenever they could involve kids in the plot and the show, that was really a nice thing for me being a kid.
And the kid actors are pretty good from what I remember.
No,
And
they're okay.
Now that you're not a kid, you just want to like execute all the
10
children.
seconds.
It's a
We
good
can
guilty
do
pleasure
that.
episode.
All right, everybody press
The
play in 5,
fastest
4,
application.
3, 2, 1, play. Excellent. Now we're into the real content. True Q is just something we
Yeah.
had to get through, but this is what it's about.
Oh, this is an interesting crew on the shuttle.
Yeah, what is this mix of characters? What are they all doing together?
I guess I'm assuming, really honestly, most of the time, if you're trying to travel through space, you're just kind of like hitching. You have to like
carpooling.
make lots of connecting actions, and so it's probably fairly unlikely for it to all be like all name senior staff. Most of the time, these are probably just like Guinan and like 2 red shirts and like Nurse Ogawa, who are all just going to different places.
This
But
is
this is their
a
own
danger white
connection.
Guinan is so bored listening to Picard. She's just humoring him.
Guinan literally just said that her father is 700 years old.
Right.
And then, wait, how long ago was Mark Twain?
Mark
500 years ago?
Twain, you say? Well,
Mark Twain was in
in the 24th century.
1890s.
No Mark
He
Twain no Mark Twain imitations. We've been there, done that.
No, if you say
Mark
it though, it has to
Eternal.
come.
Okay, what year did that episode that shall not be named happen?
1890s.
Okay, so it's like
1890, and this is 23 something.
Oh.
So that was
You got.
Guinan's got to hold on to
They
her
didn't
hat.
check the camera. They forgot to shake the camera.
that's what like 450
I feel
years
bad
ago.
for the 2 people who don't get seat backs. Like you just have to sit on a crate for light years.
Yeah, why did they forget the? This
They
just
still
looks
forgot
dumb.
to shake the camera.
Did they forget or did they just? Is
just
this a
bouncing
choice?
around.
I was going to ask if anybody has the stabilized version of this, but we don't need it.
I need to make the unstabilized version of this.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like they forgot to shake the camera. They're just kind
So-
of bouncing around.
This episode was directed by Leonard Nimoy's son.
Would
that be a decision that he made?
By Leonard Nimoy's
yeah.
son.
Adam Nimoy. He directed this episode. He directed Timescape. Those are the only 2 Star Trek episodes he's ever directed.
I bet you the cameraman didn't like him, and he was like, you know what? He didn't tell me to shake the camera. I ain't doing it. And then when we're all wrapped, no one's gonna have.
He's such a hot shit.
Right.
Just because his dad's Spock.
I'm really disappointed that Guinan's hat did not shrink in proportion.
I like to point out that this episode leaves us with the implication that the transporters can give you immortality.
Yep.
Yeah,
I mean,
so
we already established that in season 2 with
why-
Dr. Pulaski.
Well, this
Why aren't
episode,
we doing that?
well, this episode to me is not
stars.
scientifically accurate at all. It's simply the rule of cool, which means that anything
I don't know if
bad
it's the rule of cool so
enough.
much as the rule of funny.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is the funniest
Also-
possible timeline.
Also, probably just me being a kid the time I saw this episode, I never really grasped that they were actually adult minds in kids' bodies. I just thought they were kids' minds in kids' bodies. They just knew what they knew when they were adults. So, meaning it's time to go learn how to drive a car.
Aren't you just the sum of all your knowledge,
whatever.
anyways?
Not exactly. Your
just
decision
like
making
to say-
processes change as you age.
I just like to say I was really invested during the teaser, and then we hit like as soon as they started transporting them out, and they got like that 40% drop in mass thing. Like
I may have lost one
remembered
of
what
them.
episode. Yeah, I remembered what episode we were watching, and I was just so disappointed.
So if a 40% drop in mass meant O'Brien thought he lost one of them, who is the really heavy person here?
Yeah,
Guinan.
Whoa, you're right.
Guinan.
Well, 40% dropping mass is just like it's not half of them, but it's not
It's
one of
way
them.
more than
so
a
I'm guessing.
25%.
No, he thought. I guess Guinan's hat just weighs like 500 pounds or something.
yeah.
Wait, now Guinan's hat did shrink in proportion.
It didn't shrink, they changed outfits.
They just
They
happen
changed
to have a
clothes.
captain's uniform in
Well, they have
that
replicators, man.
child
program.
size.
Replicators.
Yeah.
Maybe a costume.
Right. So before they went to the sick bay, they stopped off at the Replimat and they got new outfits that looked exactly like their other outfits.
Oh, that voice. So this child that's playing Captain Picard also played his his uncle, Rene Picard. In
No, his
Family.
nephew, Rene Picard.
no, his uncle.
What?
His uncle, Rene.
No, this actor played Captain Picard's nephew.
Uncle, yes.
What?
Can anyone else back me up on this? He played Picard's uncle?
Yeah. That
Yeah.
dialogue. It was a joke.
And the girl actress who plays Guinan here also played young Whoopi Goldberg's character in Sister Act, like a prologue
really?
of the movie.
Huh?
According to
The,
the Amazon trivia, Ronald D. Moore hated this episode and tried to stop it from ever happening. He tried to bury the concept.
Really?
Good on you, Ronald D. Moore.
No, that would have been a tragedy. This episode's amazing.
The glowing jars are blue, red, blue, red. I think in season 2 they're red, blue, blue, red. So I don't know the significance, but
So we know from Generations in the Nexus that not Whoopi Goldberg, she's playing Guinan here. That's a different person. Guinan, her head is actually like normal shaped. It's not weirdly conical on top. That's just the hat.
Well,
The right
we know from the other
replica.
episode where they're back in time.
There we are.
that
Directed
doesn't
by
have
Adam
weird-
Nimoy.
Oh yeah, that too. So that means
Guinan just has
it-
like
it-
such
oh,
a
hey,
giant
Tracy.
antennae.
Given that there was a 40% drop in mass, she must have been hiding something under the hat, and maybe she's also just insanely muscular.
It's a
Isn't-
pizza. We discussed this.
Latinum super dense. Could it be that she's just carrying around a bunch of latinum?
On top of her head, maybe.
And like this whole time she's just like, oh man, all my money.
Well, even if it's gold pressed latinum, gold is nearly as dense as lead, so she wouldn't need a whole lot of gold pressed latinum to make up the extra
Well, see,
15%.
When she rematerialized, her hat didn't fit anymore, so I would have expected it to like drop out of the sides of her hat. Just this big
Clank,
pile of money.
clank.
Now the camera's following him around the room as some
Where
sort
did
of enforcing of he's not being taken seriously. That's an interesting cinematography.
The
Jonathan Frakes is just staring at him like, do I really have to put up with this?
have we ever seen an officer at the helm before or since?
I don't know. I was
but
looking
she
at
looks
Tracy.
like she's like 16.
Yeah, that's the other thing I was gonna say. She looks like a kid too. Maybe she came on to cast for young Ro, and they're just like, "No, you're too old. Be the helmsman."
Was it? I wasn't watching. Was it the girl with the short bob, the dark hair?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, she shows up a few times. She
The
was
bowl
actually the
cut.
first time we saw her was in the episode The Next Phase, where she was at the party in 10 Forward.
Really? All right.
Oh, prone
Worf
to
was just thinking, like, oh man, we
volcanic activity.
just got rid of Wesley. Now I'm gonna have to deal with this for the rest of my career.
You know what?
I
I never
don't-
realized this as a kid, or maybe never knew it as a kid, but these two people here have a romantic history or would-be romantic history. Just gotta be so
I mean,
awkward.
it makes things real awkward for Keiko and the chief because they're married
Yeah.
With a
Do they have
kid,
a child?
too.
with a child.
Yeah.
Ooh.
That
Molly.
is way more awkward.
Yeah, there is a scene coming up where they're.
Oh yeah,
She's like, "You won't touch me and you won't kiss me," and he's like,
you're
well,
12
you know,
years old.
I don't want to go to space jail."
Look, Chief O'Brien said he played with boys. He never said he played with.
No, that was Worf.
No,
That
no,
was
ships in a bottle.
No. But then Chief O'Brien in my edit said
Yeah,
that he
I said
did
I-
as well.
Oh well, yes. Okay, fair enough.
That was a funny intake.
Worf never played with boys. Don't be ridiculous. Never.
If you go to your room for a few years, then people will take you seriously, young man. I'm going on vacation in the ball pit.
Do they have a ball pit?
Load Picard third
You
ball
could-
pit program.
You could do a holodeck
Alpha
ball
1.
pit. You can make the entire holodeck one giant sea of a ball pit.
Yeah.
You could replicate all the balls through all the hallways on the whole ship.
Do you think
Here's the
the Great Leap
thing.
could have taken the
The-
form of like a gigantic ball pit that goes around the entire planet?
The holodeck is perfectly capable of replicating the bridge functions, and making all of the people adults again. So they could just run the ship from the holodeck.
I guess, but that... And it feels like you could just tell the people on the bridge to get over it. Seems like that would be
Yeah.
easier.
I'm sure the Federation has found some kind of like really slowly aging alien species, and they probably like have a employee seminar where they're like, don't point out to your like coworker that they look like they're 12 years old. It's really
But here is an interesting
inappropriate.
question. Why is Guinan returned to such a small point when she's considerably older than all the others?
Do you think Guinan tried to
Uh,
like go back to bartending?
If she
Maybe
reverted...
Lorians had a
If
different.
If she reverted
She
40
should
years...
reverted
like
lifespan.
40 years, yeah.
I think Lorians must just have a different maturation pattern.
Well,
but we
all right,
saw her
hang on.
400 years ago with a certain white-haired character.
Picard is supposed to be like. Picard is supposed
I
to be like.
believe you're talking about Mr. Fox.
So
It doesn't
Picard is
sound
supposed to be
like
like
that.
60. Wouldn't he have returned to like 20s? And then Ro would be unmade, basically.
The answer
She's not
is
even.
don't worry
she's not
about
even
it.
30.
It's like goo
Don't worry
or
about
something.
it.
Yeah. So,
Right, so they're not-
I was thinking, what would Kirk do if he got sent back and he was like 12 again? And Kirk would be like, "Oh no, I get to relive my 20s again. What a tragedy!"
Yeah, the actress who plays young Ensign Ro here, I think she has the most difficult time being convincing to the audience and to the camera. But for
Really?
each of these,
I feel like she was the best acted.
huh?
I think the
Well-
Guinan one is the worst acted.
Hmm.
Yeah. Well,
I love how whenever we get to see O'Brien's home, like domestic life, something terrible is going on.
Oh yeah, like both his work and personal life are just disasters.
Yeah, like I don't think anything ever seems to be going well. It's like one of them's
No.
a child or possessed by a
Like-
demon.
He literally goes to the holodeck, reenacts wars to relax. Like that's how chaotic his life is.
O'Brien must suffer. That's the
This,
point.
yeah, I don't think I'd be able to continue a relationship if they were just suddenly 12 years old. That seems like just too much.
He could put himself in there and go through the same accident. That would kind of even the
could
score,
try.
maybe.
He's like, what am I, Woody Allen?
I mean, it wouldn't change.
Well, in this
his
episode,
attractions, though.
Hello.
in this episode, his wife has become a child, and then in that one DS9 episode, his daughter becomes an adult when she gets stuck down on that
Just throw
planet.
her in that thing.
There are
They
people
could
in real
use-
life who just stopped developing before puberty, and they just are 40-year-old people with the bodies and voices of children. They have to
I
live
don't think
normal
that's
lives
exactly how that.
And then there's the
works.
kids that have progeria, where they age really fast and they're like little tiny old people.
Yeah, Mother Nature's a mad scientist.
What if they used
Little
that
tiny
anomaly from the DS9 Shrink Ray episode, and they just made it so O'Brien's at, like, maybe the same age, like he's still the same age, but at the very least he's like the same size as Ed. Of
Oh,
his
you
wife.
mean Honey, I Shrunk the Senior Staff?
Yeah, that one.
He's
we could,
so
we could just
we have
have
an
like
episode
3
where-
foot tall O'Brien.
we have an episode where O'Brien gets possessed by an evil entity, and then we have an episode and he hurts Keiko, and then we have an episode where Keiko gets possessed by an evil entity and hurts O'Brien. It's all about symmetry.
Well, I'm pretty sure that Keiko in that episode actually just hurts
Their
herself.
DS9 episode where O'Brien gets turned into like a 12-year-old.
It's like poetry. It rhymes.
It
Yeah,
rhymes.
it rhymes.
So he's
I hate
observing,
all of you.
Too far.
he's
in some
observing here that
places.
his hair has migrated back onto the top of his head from his beard.
Is it just me, or does this child actor look like a bird?
It's the adventure jacket.
Oh yeah, the adventure jacket.
My God.
Does he look like a bird? Kind of, yeah. I can see it. You know, there's some feathers sticking out from underneath the tunic.
God, does she still have the perm? Get rid
I
of the
don't-
perm, Deanna.
I wouldn't be able to tell what a perm is anyway.
It looks like that, and it's hideous.
I
It was
can't take
popular in the
myself
90s.
seriously like this. It's a
Wait,
good
so-
question, actually.
Early 90s.
Marina Sirtis went on this vacation earlier, and she came back for one episode just super tan. Did she also get this perm on that vacation? She's just waiting for it to go back?
Well,
I don't know.
feel
Did
like
that
if they
happen in
had
real life?
I feel like if she did some hairdo they didn't like, they would just put her in a wig. So I'm assuming this is some choice of.
I think
of
she
the
wore a
shoulders.
wig almost the entire time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you
If
ever
I'm
see
not-
the? Go ahead.
If I'm not mistaken, that's a common complaint Marina makes at conventions and stuff, that she always was wearing a stupid wig.
Did you see that? I think it was.
I love
I've
the
seen
idea
many
of
things, yes.
tiny Picard at a desk job at Starfleet Command, just like waiting until he's old enough to like get back and re-enter his chosen career path. And then in the meantime, he like is this recluse who never leaves his office.
So looking at this,
and
the
doesn't want
suggestion of
anyone to see
of
him.
shrinking the chief down so he's the same height as Keiko, I don't think that would help, because like
Not
right
the-
here, Deanna
Not
is
the same
exactly
height,
the same
the same
height
physical
as...
age.
They're the same height.
It's
as
not
Picard.
height. Like
It's not
the,
height.
The,
Yeah,
It's
problem,
not
a little
about
bit.
height.
even if they found a way to make O'Brien 12 years old, the problem is that neither of them would be attracted to a 12-year-old because they're not that
Hopefully,
kind of person.
hopefully they wouldn't be.
I mean, it's clear that O'Brien isn't because he's
We
very
don't know about
uncomfortable.
Keiko.
Well, everyone in the
I wanna
21st
die.
century should be pansexual and only attracted to the intelligence of the personality of the person as opposed to their physical appearance. So
I wish at some point we saw like Armis like eventually get married. Like,
The-
I miss the
like-
black goo.
Tar pit?
yeah, the skin of
Very
evil.
random thing to come back to.
Hey, there's a what is it, a lock for every key or whatever, you know.
like,
Who,
like
who do you
who
want the
can get into
Prindrick
lock
and
pretty easily?
Metamucil Pond to get married to?
if this
I mean,
is truly,
it depends what kind of movies they're into, maybe, but I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to it. Yeah.
if this is truly a future where like physical appearance doesn't factor into attractiveness, I want to see like a couple where one of them's like maybe like an attractive human and the other one's just like a blob of goop that just sits in a jacuzzi all day in their quarters.
Or a giant insectoid praying mantis.
Yeah, like
there was a
never see
clip.
these relationships on television.
There was a clip from like a fan Q&A that Certus and Frakes did together, where I can't remember what someone asked her, but she goes in to explain like she's so happy that she found Star Trek because before Star Trek she was doing these like really low budget like slasher movies with
Yeah, she was in like
And-
one of the Death Wish movies where she had to be naked,
Yeah,
and
she
she
had
was in a lot
rape.
of straight to video stuff where she had to
Yeah.
take her top off, and it's like
yeah, and
it
she
was
upset about that.
beneath an actor of her caliber for sure.
And this like she started crying, and then Frakes had this look like we got really deep here, guys.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just in it for the
This
techno babble
episode is
wide.
below an actor of her caliber.
Veraxic?
Also,
Is that a
I don't
real
feel
word?
like this is how genetics works. I'm not a geneticist. I only
Yeah.
took like high school biology, but this feels wrong somehow.
Technician's uniform.
What if they put him back on the shuttlecraft and then like shot a chronoton pulse out of the deflector dish?
So how does
That
That sounds
Veraxic-
sciencey enough to make it work.
I just looked on Memory Alpha. Veraxic is entirely an invention for this episode.
Okay.
So the
It's
big
like I know
question
DNA
here,
and RNA, but I've never heard of RVN.
the big question of this episode is: if you were in this position, would you choose to just let yourself grow up again, or just skip
Yes.
back to where you were? And
I mean, hey, that's like an extra, depending on what your age, that could be decades extra of life.
I mean, if I was Picard's age, I would probably accept it just because it means, hey, I've got this whole extra time to live and enjoy my life.
Yeah.
The others, I probably
Yeah.
wouldn't.
even
Oh wait, here's the question: what happened to his artificial heart?
Ooh,
He has
that
a
is a
tiny
big
artificial
question.
heart.
Well, I can't imagine that the artificial heart would change size. So he's got like
Yeah.
an enlarged
that's a good
artificial
point.
heart.
He's like the Heffy from
I'd
TNG.
assume that'd be the
Considering-
first thing that.
Technically, he should have
Perfect.
collapsed on the transporter pad because the fit would have been wrong, and he would have
Shameless
immediately bled
violation of
internally.
continuity.
The arteries would have
I
ripped
would
off
say-
of the artificial heart.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I would say that his artificial heart is still definitely inside him. It didn't generate a new biological heart.
No.
Okay,
It
let me
just-
open
it
up
was just
canonbreaks.txt
regression.
and make a note of that. Rascals artificial heart wrong size.
It's potential that the transporter detected the issue and shrunk it accordingly.
I don't believe that.
I don't
No, I
think you
don't
can
for
do
one
that.
second, but it's what
It can do
would be said.
anything.
It resized their clothes.
Some kind of wonderful gift.
So
But not the
it
combat
could
discs.
resize their organs as
We did
well.
actually,
didn't
did
resize
actually
the clothes.
resize.
Yeah,
the
it did not
clothes.
resize their clothes. They
Oh,
just
okay.
got appropriately sized clothing afterwards.
So, Guinan
Of
just said
course.
here, there must be some part of your childhood you didn't loathe. She was part of a military occupation and a Holocaust. What do you want from her?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Do you
she makes
do
a
you think-
point here that it was a long, depressing period of her life, and she doesn't want to relive it. And now, as an adult, I'm thinking, what kind
Now you can have the
of
real childhood.
what kind of trauma did she experience?
Well, she watched her father get tortured to death in front of her. She mentioned that a couple times.
So do you think when they got the new uniforms, like someone just had to like write a memo to diplomats who's like, hey, the captain and a couple other people are now 12 years old. Could you please generate some clothes for them in like 2 minutes and then meet me in the medical bay?
Didn't
Thanks.
Oh, you mean
Kira
in the
have the
universe.
same exact backstory?
So, do you guys
I
jump
need
on
to
your beds?
jump on a bed. Yeah, I did.
No,
I
not,
need a
not
taller
did you,
ceiling to do it
you?
now.
Oh, I totally still do.
Okay.
I'm tall enough that I would hit my head on the
Yeah,
ceiling, so I
I'd be
need
a
a
little
taller
worried about
bedroom.
Yeah.
This,
Yeah,
the,
I was gonna say height
What-
is the issue, but I do
Yeah.
other things on my bed that involve a bouncing motion.
Unfortunately, my bed does not
This is a
have
family-friendly
springs.
stream.
I also would like to say that I don't think I think that was just a foam mattress. Judging by the way it was moving, like when they were jumping on it.
Yeah, it's a
It wasn't very bouncy.
future space bed.
Yeah,
It's not a real mattress. It's just a prop. It's probably just a huge piece of foam that they found somewhere.
yeah, exactly. So the child actors just had to jump really hard to like mimic the effect. Have any of you
LIGO
guys
7.
thought
Wait,
about...
is LIGO Space Africa? Isn't
I
that
don't
the
know.
Space Africa
Yeah.
planet?
What makes you
Oh,
say
No,
that?
that was Ligon.
Hey,
Never
she
mind.
does look like she was auditioned for Ro there.
Ligon, not
So-
Lygos.
Have you thought about how if an audience member was like transported into this universe, they would basically be like a mega genius, because if they could basically do anything they wanted as long as it sounded like it was written by a sci-fi writer in the 90s and it just sounded like vaguely plausible. It was like, how are we going to solve this problem? And then you could say something like, use inverse Fulcron beam to counteract the waveform, and they'd be like, ah, yes, of course.
Why are we preparing to return fire? Why don't we just return fire?
Oh, he had to close the book before he ran to the bridge.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah.
Why are we
Doesn't want
preparing?
anybody to
You're
see
always
what he wrote
preparing.
there.
Just fire.
In an
They're
emergency,
still not
always
even
have
firing.
the cable
Also,
closed.
they're the same shot as from yesterday's Enterprise, but never mind.
Well, that was 3 years ago. You don't remember that.
I seem to remember that. But it was less than 3 years ago for me, so.
Yes.
Oh, look, that's the same shot from yesterday's Enterprise as well.
Yeah,
wow,
but
we're
that didn't
getting
happen
so
in the
much.
prime timeline, so this is just a coincidence.
We're saving so much
Right.
budget.
Why are we
Wait a
being
minute,
attacked
these
by
are-
Klingons?
These are Romulan warbirds?
No, that's a Klingon. Bird of prey. What do you
Klingon
mean?
bird of prey.
Why are
Oh,
the Klingons
they're
attacking
Klingon
for
birds
no
of prey?
reason? Is this real?
They're Klingon birds
Is
of
this a
prey that
dream
were stolen by the
sequence?
Ferengis. We're about to find out.
Okay.
Stolen?
Yeah,
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
they're
That's
not
actually
Klingons.
convenient for the effects
Very
team.
interesting. Right.
How did
now.
the Ferengi steal birds of prey?
Very well,
Don't worry about it.
actually.
We bought them.
Very
Don't worry.
carefully.
They
Probably
were able
swindled
to.
them.
Yeah, they swing.
They knew a
they
guy.
did, like, they
They knew a
challenged the
guy.
Klingon captain in like a rigged carnival game.
How many Ferengi can they
They
possibly
win them
have?
in
Don't
a
they only have
game
like
of time ago.
12 people beam on? What happened to the security teams?
Those
Oh, hey, Tracy.
transporters are kind of weird. Aren't the Klingon transporters usually like more orange-ish?
Yeah.
Those are very
Where are
good.
their laser
Why
whips?
does Worf always carry a gun on him?
Because he's the
He's the
security
security
chief.
officer.
Yeah.
Also, why does
Wor-
Data look really angry right now? I thought he didn't have emotions.
Don't worry about it.
Oh, hey, Tracy.
Worf definitely, like, even off duty, has a license to have a concealed carry.
I don't think Worf does concealed carry. I don't think he cares about that. He's very much an
so-
open carry kind of man.
He's open carry,
I
yeah.
it's either open carry
Oh,
or if you're
or
unarmed,
op-
you just defeat him in single combat.
He'd have his mechlith. He'd have his mechlith on him if it didn't kept getting caught on other people's uniforms.
O'Brien,
Note the
you
words
poor
that he
schmuck.
used to Morta. He said all able-bodied adults.
Yeah, who says that?
Yeah.
This is such convenient timing for the Enterprise. Like, thank God, they had all these adults that got turned into children, and the children are kept
Mhm.
in lower security prisons or something.
I don't think we get Armin Shimmerman in this episode. We've gotten a lot of Armin Shimmerman in TNG. But I don't think today.
He was in the first appearance of the Ferengi.
Yep, with his energy whip and his weird crouching.
And the despicable use of the valuable metal.
Yes.
Damon, is that a title in Ferengi?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
that's like
it's
Klingon
their
or
captain.
Ferengi captain.
Hey Ryan, is that Tracy like standing in the group?
yeah, that's
of bridge
Tracy.
officers?
No, that's a Ferengi.
Yeah,
That's
Tracy
Damon.
gets a lot of screen time.
That's the Damon.
This
don't
is what they wanted
understand,
apparently to
There's
be.
Tracy.
Hi, Tracy.
I don't understand how the Ferengi value gold, because sometimes they talk about it being valuable and sometimes they
Don't
talk
worry
about
about
it being worthless.
It's just
They're
worth
like,
its
this
gold.
ship- This ship
They
is
decide-
worth
they
its
decide
weight in
that
gold,
in that
and they're like,
episode,
it's
so-
useless.
And who mourns mourn? They say it's not the gold; it's that they press latinum
Right.
into it, and
Yeah.
it's the latinum that's
Right.
valuable.
Right.
Before
Errors
that,
in
but in
continuity
Little
in
Green
Star
Men-
Trek.
But in Little Green Men, they
Impossible.
talk about gold.
Yeah, Little Green Man I think is after
Yeah.
Who Mourns Mourn.
Yeah, it's
And
like
then
precious metals, like gold. Gold is good.
in Enterprise they are looking for the ship's gold.
No, whose Morn is
and-
Morn has to be after because we haven't watched it yet on the
It is
stream.
after.
Oh, we
Yeah.
It has
haven't?
in Little Green Men.
Nope.
Okay, yeah. Fair enough. But still.
It's still a continuity change or, mistake, but this is old Star Trek, so we don't count those as mistakes.
If I was Captain Picard in
he-
this situation,
didn't
I
they
would have
used to call it-
tried to arm the children and lead them in an insurrection, then appoint one of them my executive officer in charge of radishes.
Well,
Well,
didn't they used to call it lithium and not dilithium for a little while?
They
That
did an
sounds
interesting
familiar.
job here
I think that was
on
TOS.
purpose, or they did an interesting job here on purpose or on accident of making the computer consoles and desks here in the children's area look like they're children's versions of the next
Oh.
generation computers.
I would think that's got to be intentional. Yeah.
I believe if you look at the around the ceiling of the nursery, the Enterprise D's nursery, they have letters in the font from the original Star Trek title, the original series title.
Yeah, so Ryan, it looks like you won't get to Who Mourns for Morn until next week for DS9.
Okay.
You suppose somebody wrote that tattoo on his forehead without him knowing one day? Like after
Yeah.
he
They all
passed
have
out?
that. It has the logo on it.
That's their equivalent of a comm badge.
What is their goal here anyway? The Ferengi, I mean.
They're stealing the ship and using it to mine something.
Oh, I see.
I don't know why you're surprised about this, Riker. The Ferengi have slaves. We know this.
Wait, there's an episode, the episode where Cisco and Quark get taken captive by the Dominion and they meet the First Vorta.
Yep.
He says that they never did slavery or genocide or concentration camps like the humans.
Other than half of their entire species
Yeah,
in slavery.
that was wage slavery though, so it's
Don't
legal.
worry about that.
Doesn't
No,
count.
not wage slavery. He's talking about the females.
Females.
It looks like he could challenge a shark with those teeth.
Also, of course, it doesn't.
Oh, hello!
sound like-
Instead of a
can't expect
talking
Quark to be-
annoying paperclip, they get a talking annoying
It's a fish.
So how am I not gonna
I can do that, Dave.
Looks like you're trying to retake the ship. Would you like some help?
Sorry,
Give me Wikipedia.
Ooh, interesting plants or animals. What kind of interesting plants or animals? Which
Classroom
part
7.
of the inside? It's a big ship.
Show
That's
me
not
the
even the
Steven
inside of the
operations.
Enterprise. There we go.
Do you think this children's computer has like the drivers installed that allow it to fire the phasers?
Do you know how to spell Enterprise?
They just need to like activate them correctly.
I think not.
ENTERPRIZE.
I actually
No,
didn't know how
you're a
to spell
failure.
Enterprise
Sock it to me,
until
sock it to
I
me,
was
sock
on
it to me,
this
sock it to me, sock it to me.
So this has been very helpful for me.
System access.
This, by the way, being 12 years old again, would make it way, way easier to get through Jeffrey's tubes.
Yeah.
It's true.
Oh,
Wow, look at all
out for
that
your
room
hat.
in there.
Yeah.
That's
This
still,
is a
I
really
still
weird
don't know why it's a
computer.
grate if people are expected to crawl through on their hands and
That's
Appreciate
knees.
right,
so,
that's right. The Picard maneuver.
Alexander is being polite
Oh,
enough
God.
to like try to avoid, interfering with the escape attempt.
Is
Alexander's
that a,
like what?
Alexander,
2 years here?
is that a
piece of
Roomba?
shit.
They're trying to
What
like
does that mean?
retake the
Yeah.
ship, and he's just playing with this like RC car.
That's right.
And is that
Okay.
Klingon lettering in the background?
Polite.
No, it is.
shares.
That's Klingon lettering. I recognize the one on the far right. They put that in just for Alexander.
Maybe it was his week to like pick the letter board. I don't know.
How do you sing the Klingon alphabet?
I'm sure someone has
Very
the answer
honorably.
for that.
Yes, with great honor. I was just gonna say.
Oh, it's a
Klingons
Roomba.
do not sing the alphabet.
Smash it.
It's gonna run.
So do you think?
Why does the door open for
computers,
the
like,
Roomba?
Yeah, do you think the computer's like programmed to recognize the Roomba and open the
Apparently,
doors
yeah.
for it?
Maybe. I mean, we
That's a
do
communicator.
know
That's
that the
cute.
ship cleans itself. And in Discovery, we see they have little robots for that. So I assume that's what this is. It's literally a space Roomba.
Lock the door.
I should get a Roomba.
Should have put like a bomb on it. Like you pick it up and it explodes.
We call those a boomba.
Okay. There's a
What's he
couple
gonna
games
do?
about
Tell it to
playing a Roomba
tell it
that
to
kills
sit up?
people, like Roombo.
Roomba.
Nice.
Funny, you're a funny
He-
guy.
the Ferengi
No, I didn't
version-
make that up. That's an
Transport
actual game.
guy,
You can go
too.
play Roombo and play murderous Roomba.
Oh God. Oh
just
God.
occurred to me
It's
that
on
the
Steam.
Ferengi reacted to that robot just like a cat would.
They chase after it and capture it.
Now, what
And
molecule
this
is that?
Ferengi's like, yes.
I don't know. It's
arms."
not water.
Hydrazine,
I can tell you that
yes.
much. Is that a sugar? Is that a carbohydrate?
I think it's probably a carbohydrate. Everything's a
Unfortunately, if
carbohydrate.
you're
My
trying to
best guess
just
is that it's not actually
Yep.
any molecule that's real.
It's been like
Alexander there is used to stealing, so he's enlisted to steal.
it's been 10 or 11
Unfortunately,
years
if
since
you're-
I've built any molecule diagrams. I don't recognize it.
well, there's also the matter that except for black being carbon, there's really no standard for what color is which element either.
You could tell based on how many bonds there are.
Carbon is also not always black.
It's usually black on the diagrams.
Yeah, but the diamonds are carbon.
No, not like not carbon the actual element, just on the diagrams where people make
Oh.
model molecules.
Did they?
Carbon is black.
Or
Did he
as
get that
Scotty
phaser
would
from
say it,
sickbay?
the
Is that what he
diagrams.
said?
A
Do they just
diagram.
Do they just keep weapons in sickbay?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was wondering that.
And we're fighting.
Where else do you
we're,
keep your
we're
gun?
taking
Well, they
an
went-
alternate
they went
approach
and
to
got-
fighting this infection.
Wait.
Oh,
Bang,
wait.
bang.
See him right
Hey,
now.
Hold.
Stop talking.
I need to see him now.
Shut up.
Now.
I love it.
Now.
Ferengi
I
just
don't
don't.
know.
You can't find the captain, and here's this child who's
I'm just
acting suspicious and wearing the captain's uniform. I see nothing suspicious about this.
all I can think of when I see
realistically,
that is just
wouldn't
Patrick
it
Stewart's
stun
face
him?
on him now.
It's so bad.
I mean, we get Captain Picard hugging Riker, and that seems weird, but Patrick Stewart is hugging Jonathan Frakes pretty much constantly.
Yeah.
In the outtakes, yeah.
See now, all right. If you were the Ferengi, wouldn't you just stun them and like shut up, zap? Throw
Yeah,
his
I mean,
limp corpse
I'm very
back
fond
into
of the
room.
solution of use gun on problem, and that seems like the Ferengi could do that.
This is an not interesting. If you're 12 years old and you're a boy, you've probably stopped calling your dad daddy by that point. You'd probably just call him dad.
It's a high
But
stress
see, Patrick
situation.
Stewart was never a child, so he doesn't know these things. Patrick Stewart,
He's the number one dad.
fully grown.
From the moment Patrick Stewart saw
They're so
himself
happy
as an
together.
engineer, he became old.
So embarrassing.
I mean, there is the clip of him on Coronation Street in the 1960s, and he looks exactly like Picard. It's weird.
He does age, just extremely slowly.
Yeah.
What is this? You've never seen an
Patrick Stewart is
aquarium?
Elorian.
An aquarium that I want to remind you is not attached to the wall. That's a pillar.
He's probably trying to eat the fish.
Frankie eat bugs.
Could be right. We love to put our children in danger on missions.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
Jonathan.
so how many Ferengi
sorry,
are on
not
the
Jonathan.
ships? Like,
Will.
like
I don't know if you
30
really
at
want
most.
the children on board. Whenever you go to the neutral zone, fight with the Borg, go into a spatial anomaly, are you sure you want the children on board?
Launch the child into
The funny
fluid
thing is
experience.
that the Freudian entirely right in this thing.
Like, I don't think there are any children on aircraft carriers in the U.S. Navy.
No, there are none.
No, but you can't do stuff like this or whatever in real life either.
I like to believe that there's like, like the navies of the world are a big place. There's probably one kid who's like the only kid on some like nuclear submarine somewhere.
So there's got to be some meme here where he just techno babbles him to death. This is prime meme material. I just don't know what to do with it.
Yeah, Codpiece, if you want a deepfake with Picard's face, I have good news for you. I already did that.
Faster than like a nanoprocessor.
FTL nanoprocessor with 25 bilateral Kelly-Cactrils.
Yeah.
Being slaved in the
No,
Heisen
like,
frame.
I
Yes,
actually,
okay.
of course I do, human. I actually have a degree in Ferengi computer science from Ferengi University. On
I got a
Ferengi.
B+ in bilateral Kelly-Cactrils.
Yeah, I actually wrote my thesis on Kelly-Cactral file systems.
I imagine
I guess
that
the
you just
question-
buy your degree on Ferenginar. You don't actually
Yes.
go to any classes. You just here you go. You buy it. You've got it now.
There is no
This is the
education on
ferromactal drive
Ferenginar. It's
unit.
all work study.
Does it control the Heisen frame?
Right?
No, it controls the Ramestat core.
In
Question about this
Ontario,
scene is Riker bullshitting?
Yes.
Yes,
Alright,
Yes,
so
he's
you-
absolutely.
very,
I
this
think
is very
we can
obviously
see that the
technobabble.
children's computer does have the drivers installed to access all of the ship systems, including the weapons.
I like how it says
That means-
command access enabled and it's all in kids' colors.
Oh,
There's
why
one.
does it? Oh, it has a
Lovely
comm badge.
pastels.
It's a
Elf
comm badge,
cars and
Roomba. It's an
pastels.
officer.
And it's like, oh, thank you, Ensign Roomba. Once again, you know,
If you
they
want an
hit the
Ensign Roomba,
suspect Ensign Roomba.
there's a Lower Decks episode that you might love.
Oh boy,
I
You know
highly
what? They
recommend
could
it.
just
what
beam
are
the
those
Roomba.
Ferengis talking about? Like,
Oh,
like
oh,
what were
there,
they
there we go.
How the warp
gesticulating
core is
about
so
while looking
pretty.
at the-
No, there's a Lower Decks episode where the premise is an exocomp has been made an officer. He went through the academy.
Oh, that's great.
Imagine you getting
Just
tricked by
smile.
a 2-year-old.
Alexander smiles as his problem literally vanishes into thin air.
Yes. Don't even rematerialize him. Keiko
Yeah.
enjoys drugging people.
Alexander thinks that they just go into space.
Seriously, there are only like
That's what they
5 Ferengi
told
on the
him.
ship.
So he'd be, yeah, like they outnumbered the Ferengi 200 to 1. How come they couldn't have, just overwhelmed them?
Won't.
The fact that Will Riker is able to make all this up just on the spot is pretty impressive.
Impressive.
I like how Commander Riker was able to knock someone else out by hitting him with like a two-handed punch.
Yeah,
in,
well,
like,
I mean, he
the-
used
the
2
small
hands.
of
It's
their
double
neck.
effective.
Yeah,
It's old
He
Kirk
didn't even hit him in
thing.
the
He's
head.
learned Kirk's fighting style.
It's Kirk Fu.
The way that this is in young Picard's voice.
Now, my answer to this question growing up was always yes. I would just let time pass naturally all over again. But my answer may be modified if I was Keiko, for example.
Yes.
You have a family that you need to, be an adult for.
Yeah. Or but if you don't have any family relations where you have to do that for, like arguably Captain Picard, then yeah,
It's a good
just,
deal.
you get to live 100 50 years instead of a normal 137 or whatever.
You could like immigrate to one.
And then
all
once you
those
get to 60
planets
years
they
old again,
found.
you can just repeat the process.
You could immigrate to all the like planets they found in the '60s show where everyone's children.
Yeah.
And you just
This
be like a
episode
normal
does make it
person.
so immortality exists. Then it does heavily suggest that people wouldn't want to use it.
Or potentially, could we
Yeah,
just
that's-
age people up to like 23 and just go with that?
The,
Maybe
Do we have to
the
make him
adult
60
patterns.
again?
By the way,
That is good.
this final scene here with Guinan and Ro, the fact that they just end it coloring with her, just coloring and not going through the transporter, I always thought that implied that Ro decided to just relive her childhood like this. I always thought that it implied she doesn't want to do the transporter.
But she does in the end. So it looks like Child's Row is still a cultist because she's still wearing her earring on the wrong side. She still has the band.
They should have had LeVar Burton come in and talk about how the one talk to the child about the wonders of reading and imagination.
That would have been awesome.
Is
That
LeVar
would've
Burton
been
even
so
in this
awesome.
episode? He's not
Yeah,
even
he
here.
was beamed
briefly.
down as one of the forced workers.
Take a look. It's in a book.
So was LeVar Burton only available for one day of shooting, so they just beamed him down?
Maybe. Also, this is the last appearance of Ro Laren until she makes her final appearance on the show.
As an evil
Appearance in
character.
quotation marks.
All right.
Oh wait,
Now,
Okay, it's over.
Does Ro Laren, you mean?
Yeah, Ro Laren's off to she's off to not the academy, to some tactical training thing.
No, I think he's saying that Ro Laren
Yeah,
has
and then
always
she
been
gets
evil and always
back.
will be.
What's that?
You were saying that were
Oh,
you
well,
implying
she-
that Ro Laren? Oh, which one of us? Go, you go.
The girl.
Oh, hi.
Hi.
The
Yeah,
girl.
no, she goes off to this advanced tactical training, and then comes back, and then in preemptive strike, which is this second to last episode, but it's her last episode, and then she gets put on the mission to infiltrate the Maquis.
Oh, but it's the same character, Ro Laren.
Yeah.
Wait,
Yeah.
was
Okay.
that also Chief O'Brien's last episode? Because he had to move to DS9.
maybe.
He's done. He's out of here.
This is.
Yeah,
I've
that
never
was
seen a
good, so-
fistful of datas before, so I'm a little
Hey.
scared.
1 minute to
There's
We
fistful
are
of
Fistful
quite
Datas,
close
yes.
to the end of
Picard's
the
$50,000 flute.
TNG.
This is
When he
great.
was
Somebody put a picture in the chat of all the characters reverted to children.
Yeah,
This
that's
is pretty cool.
terrifying.
Are they actual pictures of when they were kids, or just children?
Or is it AI?
They look very AI.
Star
Yeah.
Trek fans have gone too far.
I think Wesley's is
Who-
still just
wait.
Wesley. But
Yeah,
everyone else.
is that just supposed to be Wesley? That looks eerie.
I mean, the one that's Troy looks like an actual picture. A lot of the other ones
Yeah.
are manipulated.
Yes, this is Chief O'Brien's last appearance until the finale, where he appears as his past self.
I like that.
The
Worf
bottom
has
right
that
one,
spirit.
who I assume is Beverly Crusher, looks more like it wasn't
With that
Pulaski.
thought, press play in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, play.
I'm getting
Yes,
that sensation right now, like when you've just gotten on a roller coaster and you really wish you could get off, but the bars have rolled into place and you're already going up the first slope. So yeah, I've never seen this episode before. I just know that it's supposed to be.
It's the flute.
Wait, you
Yeah.
haven't seen this episode?
No, I have not.
Oh my
Oh,
god.
It's
oh, you're in
directed
for
by,
a treat.
I watch throughs.
Yeah, it's directed by Patrick Stewart.
Now
Those really
episodes I haven't
intense.
watched. I haven't got this far.
This episode is amazing.
I was thinking, do I really want to
Aw,
watch a
I
terrible
would've found that.
episode when I could go outside and enjoy the nice Minnesota weather? And I'm like, This is
Yes.
the one chance I could watch this episode and have
Are
it be
these-
enjoyable with like all of you people.
No, this
It's
episode's
not
genuinely
it's not
really
a
fun.
terrible. Yeah, it's not. It's
Fun.
a fun episode. It's not. It's it's not amazing, but it's not like cringy or awful.
So were
Yeah,
these
supposedly,
Patrick
this
Stewart
is-
fans?
It's directed by Patrick Stewart. Supposedly, he got sunburn while directing outdoor scenes because he forgot to put on suntan lotion because he was just so excited to get out and start directing.
Suntan lotion or sunscreen? Those are different things.
They are?
Sorry, sunscreen. Sunscreen. My bad.
The suntan lotion is when you want to get more tan.
Sunscreen is when you want less tan?
It's when you want to be
Yeah. I
protected
never
from
knew
the
there was
giant
such a
nuclear
thing.
fusion reactor in the
6
sky.
years into this, thinking of routing the computer through data.
Fun fact. Because of humans' use of sunscreen, we can now detect a measurable amount of titanium dioxide in seawater in the ocean because so many people put it on and then go wade out into the ocean.
Good on you, humans.
We're told to do that, though. That's the thing. It's not
Is
like
that I mean,
I'm not
so we
going
can
to
detect it. Is that a terrible thing? I mean, it doesn't sound.
I don't know.
Patrick Stewart isn't much of an actor here.
Nope.
I don't know what its environmental impact is, if that's the question, but we just now can detect it in the ocean.
It's probably fine. I wouldn't worry about it.
I like how when people need to make Geiger counters now, one of the best ways to like get one of those like steel samples that hasn't been exposed to trace amounts of radiation is you have to go to like World War II battleships.
World War One, the
Oh.
sunken German fleet that was scuttled after.
Well, I guess it's a
The,
good thing the Germans had
armistice.
such a large fleet.
Picard being interrupted so much.
Poor
It
Captain.
was good thing the Germans lost war. No, there are no negative consequences from that in the long run.
You need you need to make an edit where it's just people interrupting him over and over, and he can't finish the song.
Can we have a
Just have
supercut of
everybody-
like all the scenes where he's playing the flute, basically, and it's like all like one continuous scene where he can't play his flute because the entire staff is barging in.
Yeah, just get all the clips of people walking through his door and like.
I
Just
could
cut
try.
together.
Enjoy
That's a very
yourself.
high
You have
effort
the
video.
free time. You're in quarantine.
Just have every
Well,
every
Worf
shot.
was not successful in giving himself more work. He might have something else he has to do now.
Yeah.
He might actually
Recreate
have to talk to his son.
fun. Klingons do not
So-
experience recreation.
So after he made this recording and whatever, was he going to put it up on YouTube?
Jeez, what is this?
Look
Is
at
that a
second
Game
Biggest
Boy?
Game Boy ever. Look, it's
Yeah,
got
future
5 1/4
Game Boy.
drive bay
It's
faceplates on the back.
literally 4 times the size of the actual handheld consoles that were on the market when this episode was made.
Why does it have 5 1/4 drive bay faceplates on it?
They had to make it look futuristic.
That's why
Oh,
he was
what-
doing it.
Why is Worf sitting on that chair though, not the ball chair?
He's so mad. He has to be a dad right now. He's so upset.
But
But
he
he
looks good
couldn't
in the
get out
hat.
of it with your work. It's like they couldn't give me any overtime. I have to spend time with you now. I can't think of
appreciate
any
how,
other
like,
excuse.
Worf went to the Replimap and like made one of those like irritated dad lounge chairs, if you know what I mean. Like judging from like where that's positioned in his quarters, he doesn't like read a book or watch TV in that. It's just for him to like sit in and scold his son.
Bye, stars.
So are we saying that Worf is not a merry man?
Well, he's going to be merry in a little bit once he actually gets into it. But
Then
I am definitely
yeah,
saying he's
once
a terrible
he actually
father.
realizes
Though.
it's fighting. When he's actually in danger of being killed, then he starts to enjoy
I'm
himself.
beginning to see the appeal of this program.
But the prospect of having to be a dad for a little bit, I'm surprised he didn't turn to ritual suicide.
Well, you see, the thing about the ritual suicide is that we established in that episode that his son has to be the one to carry it out. So that's just
Yeah.
That's not solving
His
the
son
problem.
has to hand him the knife. He doesn't even have to know what it's for. Just, hey, Alexander, could you hand me that? Yeah, give me that knife on the wall. That one, the very ceremonial-looking one. Yeah, that one. Bring that over here,
He
please.
like has to trick him into doing it. He's like chopping some
He's like,
carrots.
what are you
in the
doing?
kitchen.
What are you
He's
gonna do, Dad?
Alexander, can you hand me that knife?
Why are you
He's
lighting
like,
all these candles?
the
Why are the lights
vegetable
down?
knife or the suicide knife? He's like, the suicide.
Don't worry about
in the
it.
back of the
Wait a second,
top
Dad,
of the
are you
Enterprise
trying
as
to-
always.
He's like two years old here. He doesn't know the difference.
Except
That is
he's
an odd
gonna
shot at
be
the end.
he's gonna be in a war very soon. In just a few years.
Yes, that is true.
Congrats, guys. We made it all the way to the 3rd episode before anyone mentioned suicide.
Mark Twain.
Well, sorry to correct you.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mentioned it in the
Mark
first one
Twain.
in reference to another
19th
character.
century.
I enjoyed my trip out to the Old West.
Now, Bill, I couldn't quite hear you under the Mark Twain. Would you care to repeat that?
Not to. This is not a healthy subject, but to correct you, I did happen to mention suicide in reference to another character. I think in the first episode today.
Ah.
I don't remember the.
Oh, sorry, must have missed that part.
Now,
Well,
what's
we're
that?
still on the lower end
Century
of
Earth,
mentions.
the home of
19th
Mark
century
Twain, who
Earth,
they
the
call
ancient
Hey,
world.
Twain's
can't even
Yes,
imagine what it was like in those days.
They ain't
What
even
is that?
talking in a
Okay.
southern accent.
I have to
The-
say, I'm noticing that most of the Mark Twain impressions are just Bane with a southern accent.
Yes, exactly. That's
I mean,
how it
No
is.
one cared
That's what
about
mine is. Yeah.
this until I put on the
Yeah.
mask.
There was one. There's literally just one shot there where there was a massive
would be
vignette for no reason
painful.
whatsoever.
For you.
Well, not
I
really
merely
massive, but
adopted
there was
the
a vignette.
cheese. I was born into it, molded by it.
Once we get to the 24th century, we finally do use fiber optics for computers.
Oh,
We do.
Georgie's having
Only-
another beer time.
only
Has he
then-
Has he convinced the writers?
Only
No,
then
he just
do
has
you
a
have my
shadow. He
permission
forgot to
die.
shave this morning. He just forgot.
Oh,
He's
this
fine.
one was directed by Patrick Stewart.
Yeah, Patrick
You
Stewart, the
may
British
not
Shakespearean
get the
actor,
Mark
directing a
Twain.
western.
I was born into it.
That is interesting.
I'm really interested in seeing how they're going to explain how this led to all of the characters in this western turning into killer datas.
Well,
Like, I'm really looking forward to hearing that explanation.
well, pay attention to this scene.
Is it just they're connecting the computer into him, and then he overwrites the
We'll see.
program? Something like that. I do remember hearing about this episode.
Yep, just hook Data's brain straight into the computer. Nothing could go wrong.
Yeah, nothing could go wrong here.
Establishing computer link up, dialing the Enterprise bulletin board system.
No, connecting to Enterprise at Federation.ufp.
Dot
Your
gov.
computer link could not be completed as dialed. Please disconnect and try again.
Oh man, I wish she was Data. That would have been great.
You wish he was what?
Data.
Data.
Oh wait.
Jessica-
Alexander says Barclay.
Barkley helped.
Barclay helped with the... I will have
You
to
do
have a
not want
con-
Barkley helping your children build
Must have a little
programs
talk
on
with Mr. Barkley. Oh,
I-
there's a gunch. What's
I
going on?
hope there were not too many kids who had to have awkward conversations with their parents because of that moment. I hope they made it obscure enough.
Doesn't the lady turn into Data as well?
Hang on. No, no
The-
spoilers. Some people here haven't seen it.
Okay.
Mild spoilers, maybe.
Now, Westerns have never really been my thing. The only real one I've ever seen is Back to the Future Part 3, and therefore this episode always reminded me of Back to the Future Part 3.
Okay. So for some reason,
I mean, it has
the
similarities.
Mexican guy, I
They're
think
out
his
of
name
place.
is literally just the Mexican. But the line, "You're a very funny man, Senior Eli," that's just stuck with me. So now that just plays in my head when I hear something funny. If you can.
I would have loved it if, like, as soon as he
Oh.
understood that that guy was the antagonist, he just shot him immediately. It's
Use
like,
gun on man.
Yeah. Program complete.
Is that so?
Palm punch.
Gonna break someone's nose like that, Worf. I mean, look at the way he's holding his face. He probably did break his nose. Be careful. Jeez. I really hope that's a freeze frame and they didn't just make that guy lean back and hold it.
They
I assume it's
I
a
wish
green
they-
screen.
I wish they made the mistake they used in the Moriarty episode. It's like create a cowboy that could defeat Worf. Only it's not
Yes.
nearly as intelligent.
Well,
as
that's
the
basically
program
what they're
designed
doing.
To defeat Data, and so
That's what Alexander's trying to do right now.
yeah.
Take two.
But if they have the computer that can defeat Worf, it's easily defeated by like the rest of the crew, and before it can even
You
figure
just need a
out
blue
that it
barrel.
is.
If you have
just-
if you have the
it's
ultimate
blue.
opponent for Warp, it's just a blue
It's
barrel.
It's
What
the
a very
barrel
funny man
sitting
here,
on
Eli.
It's by the way,
It's a barrel,
the,
bandana wrapped around it and the hat on top.
a barrel and a cowboy hat.
by the way, Eli Hollander here is not an ugly character. He's quite the opposite. If they wanted to make him ugly, they could have really amped it up and made him 12 times the Mad Dog Cannon.
So it's really nice of, I assume it was Barkley. He programmed multiple difficulty settings in. Very considerate. Not just one story.
There's a lot of dust here in the air.
Well, it's the Wild West. Everything was dusty back then.
Oh yes, Sheriff Worf.
Worf, do you care about the fact that he's holding his gun right now, or is that fine?
He wasn't holding it, he was just tapping it.
I think that's close enough in this context.
I remember I was having a conversation actually with someone who didn't know who Worf was, and they asked me who Worf was, and I sent them a picture of Worf from this episode, and they're like, "Oh, is that from Star Trek?" And I'm like, "No, it's from Westworld."
So, all right. So, have you seen The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly?
Nope.
Oh yeah,
No? Okay.
I have.
I have. Do you remember? Okay, so you remember the scene where, gosh, what's his name?
Mark Twain?
No, I think he's like,
Mark Twain. So would say Mark Twain. You know how it works. Mark Twain will appear. You can't escape the Babadook.
the guy that's opposite of the guy that's opposite of Clint Eastwood as Blondie. What was his name? The one that he's like teamed up with for most of the movie.
There's
So much
Tuco, there's
fakery
Santeza.
Tuco. Tuco.
Yeah.
Tuco, yeah.
And so
Eli-
he makes a gun at the pawn store or the general store. Like he makes a gun out of all these random parts.
Mhm.
That would never work. I
So
don't know.
Eli asked him there, were you born that way or did your mama marry an armadillo? Well, wait, those don't contradict each other. What?
That's true.
No, if
I was
you marry-
born that
if
way
you're-
because my
He's
mama
not the
married
most
an armadillo.
educated guy.
Duh.
when
Very
like,
true,
even
very
if
true.
If your
He
parents
didn't
like,
exactly go to
marry
college.
an armadillo after you're born, you naturally just get
Oh.
to form that way.
So the character's name is Eli Hollander. Is that a reference to Eli Wallach, who played Tuco in Good, the Bad, and the Ugly? Maybe.
Just listen
There
to
you go.
Marina
Maybe.
Sirtis's accent she puts on for this episode. It's
That
amazing.
was a reference to RoboCop right there.
Oh, look, it's Jupiter. Why are they at Jupiter?
Yeah, yeah, that is. It sure does look like Jupiter.
It is interesting. I never got
All gas
Jason
giants
to
are
do
the
this
same to
before.
you.
That was very clearly Jupiter. I've seen a few gas giants in my time, and that was the most Jupiterous gas giant I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen Jupiter, but I have seen Halley's Comet.
Haley's Comet.
I shall return when Haley dies.
I think Ryan, in future watch-alongs, you might need to skip that episode.
Wait,
have
are you
seen,
saying
we're
that
gonna
I
loop
should like
around?
do TNG all over again, just the whole
Yeah.
series?
Once you get to the end and you've done everything else, yeah, you have to start at the beginning again.
Start at the beginning.
What else would you do?
Look,
We'll
I
have,
would
like,
never skip
massive
the Mark Twain
beards
episode.
and
That's one of my favorite episodes.
Old Man Mammoth will actually be an old man.
Yeah,
It's
rewatch
interesting.
the
In
Mark
the
Twain.
in the captions here, all right is all right as opposed to the contraction.
Data got a brief power surge in his positronic matrix. I wonder if that's going to have any consequences.
Nah.
Probably not. It's fine.
Fine.
Vamoose, you little varmint.
That's the name of the stream. Wow.
Oh, and slight hint that it's
And just
connected there.
immediately, things are going wrong.
I wish if
Too bad that
all
the,
these hologram program or all holodeck characters got overwritten and turned into data, they just all start like listening to multiple symphonies on top of each other and playing the violin and making paintings and playing chess with each other.
So this is
Rapid City for a
Deadwood.
trial. I mean,
This is
literally, yes,
Deadwood, but-
Deadwood.
They don't specify anything more than that. Which state, what year?
We did see on Eli's wanted poster, it said the Butcher of Bozeman with an S.
Montana.
That's just because
Oh,
It
wait,
might not be the
Bozeman
same
with an
Bozeman.
S?
Bozeman, Montana,
Bozeman.
spelled with a Z.
Yeah.
which is why, First Contact is set outside of Bozeman, and we see the USS Bozeman.
I don't know if this.
Oh,
if
wait,
this,
listen to Troy's
the
accent.
climate or whatever is representative.
Oh, no, but
Oh,
we got
getting
some
playthrough.
show audio.
Audio playthrough.
And thought I'd lend a hand.
It's too bad we didn't get to explore the Worf Troy relationship more, because I feel like that was more interesting than Troy Riker.
Mm-hmm.
Call Durango. You're breaking her immersion, Worf.
Yeah. Somehow I get the feeling like they're gonna, hold up bubble gum or something else like
Does
this.
she have any idea how much
commercial.
$500 was at this time? That's
I don't
like
know.
the entire wealth of the US.
I don't think that's
The
correct.
country was
but-
worth
That's not right, but it's like not even a city had that much wealth, particularly.
Well, holographic
Not to
cigarettes
throw
give you
around.
lung cancer still? Or is
This
that covered
how we
under
can
safety
tell you're
protocols?
British.
I'd assume safety protocols.
Oh yeah, that's a
Also-
good question. Was she actually like? I guess she actually is smoking that.
There's a joke in the A Million Ways to Die in the West where there's
Yeah, you just
where
don't
it's
handle it.
give a dollar and everyone's just like, $1?
They'll
I've
make
never seen that thing.
So for theatrical cigarettes, they'll fill them with like nuts.
I don't light it.
So yeah,
ground
this is
nuts, and-
definitely Mr. Barkley's addition to the program. I guess it could have been Alexander's addition,
Yeah,
but that
there's
seems
a
unlikely.
episode, but I gotta go, guys.
No, it's
Ah.
Barkley has the whole
Yeah.
brothel setting that he can do here.
Yeah, she's the
No, she's the bartender. In the shootout scene, she was the bartender.
right.
I mean, I don't think it's too much to say they're implying that she's also a madam.
No,
Another
she
woman, ain't
actually.
it?
Watch here. Yeah, so she's clearly not
know she-
associated with that.
Yeah, I okay, yeah.
What?
Oh, they even give a warrant with a guitar.
Yep.
Man, it really was a different time when you needed to make freaking 26 1-hour episodes for each season, and you just have to do stuff like this.
Yeah,
But these are
that's.
the best
I was going to
ones.
say that's how all the continuity errors get slept in, because they have to do 26 episodes, 7 seasons. There's hundreds of episodes.
What do you
of
mean
course.
continuity errors? Those don't happen until Alex Kurtzman gets control of the series. Everything before that is perfect.
Sunflowers.
The Slavonic
I
dances.
wonder if that
Okay.
chair is really comfortable or really uncomfortable.
I think
Maybe it's
Alex
adjustable.
Kurtzman,
Computer, stop playback and verify this is in the public domain too, so we don't have to license it for the show.
Mozart Trio, so it's fine. That's Mozart. But that specific play and performance.
Oh,
of it.
we got a Beverly face palm.
Why did they take
Asking
the?
for
They took the table out of the red. out
Yeah,
of the
why couldn't
observation
they have
room.
done this in the freaking fencing room? Why do they have to take the table out of the conference room? It doesn't even fit through the doors.
And they also
Well, they
removed
opened
the
up the
back
set, they
wall
put
to
a
the
curtain.
conference room.
yeah.
They
They just
took all the
beamed it out
models
into space.
This isn't supposed to be the conference room. It's supposed to be the theater practice room, apparently.
Hey, he reads Ode to Spot here.
So
And he doesn't notice that anything
Deanna
is wrong
was
with
asking
this.
for about £16,000. $16,000 rather.
Wait, why does she need 16,000 pounds of dollars? That's a lot of dollars. They only weigh like 5 grams each.
She was asking for $16,000 was when she said I want $500 to do that.
Just like one of Data's millions of cat poems.
Felis catus is your taxonomic nomenclature. An endothermic quadruped, carnivorous by nature.
I wish
afraid
this
that's all I know.
episode was like Masks, where instead of just messing with the
Masaka is
holodeck,
waking.
it just like gets all over the place, and like the replicators and transporters like turn the bridge into like a giant violin or something. Like
The
cats get
computer
replicated and
materialized
start
the deer
running
stalker on
around.
everyone's head with the replicator and transporters.
Yeah, and like if you try and like get a drink, you'll just get like some freaking and
Is Crusher gonna ask Jordy if that's stubble on his face, or is that beard, or is his face dirty? Right? Was the line?
You know, I hear that a beard might just be an affectation. They kidnapped the child.
Well, in
Alexander
this
have,
context,
like-
just the deputy.
Oh, I thought that
The ransom of
that
the ransom of
cloth
bread,
across his
Chief.
mouth, I thought that was like facial hair they put on him for some reason. I was thinking, like, does he have mutton chops? What's happening here?
It looked like that in the low light.
Oh,
Where's my
who's
report?
Mr. Hollander? Mr. Data. Kill the child.
My
Stab
dear
him.
Mr. Data.
oh, if only they had killed Alexander, it would have saved us so much trouble down the line.
It's that same shot of Jupiter. They don't even like rotate the model to make it look a little bit different. It's exactly the same shot repeated.
Kitty.
That is definitely a different actor for Spot, though. That's not the same Spot.
Yeah. Can the replicator make cats?
Maybe.
You need
Is
a
Cat
key
like
for
a
that.
goldfish with a child where he just keeps killing the cat and they keep replacing it without him noticing?
In that case, in Picard, we wouldn't have Spot 2. We would have Spot 78 or something.
Only if Data ever figured out what was happening.
And they'd be like, he's like, Commander, this spot has a different age and appearance than my
That's
it's a
that's natural
cat
for
Data.
cats. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, don't worry.
Cats always get onto your computer.
How have they made the cat do that? Actually?
Stand by.
Laser pointer.
A little varmint. There's probably like a bit of food on the computer console or something.
Yeah.
Or, you know,
Well, they
it's a
could
trained
just
cat. There are
waited for
such
the-
things as stage cats. You can train them. Not super well. Not as good as a dog. One of my favorite facts about dog actors, though, is they sometimes have to, like, tape down the dog's tail and CGI it in later because the dog is just wagging its tail because it's happy to be doing a good job.
Aww.
That's
What did they
had to
do
in
before
Game of
Like,
Thrones.
yay, I'm
CGI.
involved. You can't
Look
stop
at that
wagging.
painting there behind the bar. That's
Is
really
that
risque
what
for the
Annie
time.
looked like when she was younger? You little slow wharf.
New York City!
New York City. Mark Twain probably visited Kansas City at some point in his life.
Oh,
I
that's
have
what they
no
serve him as
idea.
lanterns.
I was a frequent visitor to Kansas City when I was a younger man.
Well,
Oh,
well, if
thank
it
you,
isn't
Mark
Mr.
Twain.
Data. Commander. Okay, I'm gonna try and listen for contractions. Does fake data still not use contractions?
One would assume so.
Worf should have ordered green juice from the bartender.
My boy. Well, how much are you offering? What kind of bribe do you got? How come Worf is also not using contractions? Oh, he just said wheel. Hollander data is allowed to use contractions.
No, he cannot.
Is that so?
Brent Spiner enjoys playing these like evil roles so
Yeah,
much.
he's really good.
He's having a great time.
Have you
with
ever
it.
seen him on Night Court?
Yes.
There's that
Yes.
one
Brent
clip on
Spiner Night Court.
YouTube, but that's all.
I know
Hello.
staff members.
Yeah, he's great.
I know, like, the cast members really enjoyed these episodes. They could go outside onto the back lots, and they wouldn't have to wear the uniforms and all that stuff.
Yeah, you get to do different stuff, you know.
No, Data is completely immersed. You can't break his immersion, Worf. He's an android. He's gonna keep going.
This is what you do with real LARPing in the 24th century.
Well, at least Counselor Troy's having a good time.
Look at those leather pants.
Yeah, they don't look great. Holodeck safeguards are never functioning, Worf. Why do you even have them?
They exist to fail.
Just like Alexander.
Computer exit. What if we just cut
More
power to the
security.
holodeck?
Control Alt Delete computer.
Don't you think that you should get the bullet out?
Are you sure it's not Data
Okay,
Worf?
so just really quickly, I wanted to have a bit of a thought experiment about the holodecks, right?
Sure.
So when you have multiple people on the holodeck and they're supposed to be like really far away,
Hey, Data.
because like right now, Alexander is in a mine shaft, right?
Yeah, in
That's
reality, he's like 20
miles
feet away.
Right. In reality, he's just in the other corner of the holodeck. But and no matter like how close you are, each person on the holodeck has to have their own like bubble around them where everything is like adjusted for parallax, so everything looks right. And then when they move, they're basically like on a treadmill, right?
Yeah.
And then all of that is like wrapped around them, all of that parallax of all the holographic imagery.
The holodeck isolates everyone in their own little cubicle that it can project the proper images and perspective on.
I remember,
Right.
like, when I first got VR, you know, once you played it for, like, an hour, you'd realize you're facing in a completely different direction than you
Yep.
thought you were, and you just get really disoriented. One time, I was, like, trying to, because, you know, they're virtual objects, I was, like, trying to stick my head through a virtual table, and I ended up hitting my head on my actual table, and it was the most immersed I've ever been in a video game.
You got a real and imaginary bonk.
Yeah.
Yeah, that I mentioned it during the episode, but the next phase where Geordi and Ro are phased and they can walk through stuff. The fact that they do walk through stuff without hesitation is the most unrealistic part of it. Because if you've played in VR, you really don't want to walk through objects, even though intellectually you know you can.
I walked through that. That was the first thing I did with VR. What are you talking about?
I don't know why they got rid of the wall of ships for this set. I liked it.
Yeah.
If you decide you want to walk through something, sure, you'll walk through it. But if you're just like moving around and playing the game, if you see a wall, you tend to just treat it as a wall if you're not thinking about it.
Oh, the cat food is an actual thing.
Cat food.
I hope you like Tuna Surprise. Because that's all we've got for the next week.
Do you think everyone just like got really kind of like pissed at Data? Like they know it's not his fault, but they
reckon
kind
the
of like
process.
hold him all responsible for everything that's happened to him this entire time.
Do people still use the word "I reckon" in the future?
I hope they do.
It says Jules.
It would.
Why don't you take him to sickbay? You do that all the time. Well, at least they put the walls back in the observation lounge.
Do you think?
Why don't they
like,
take him
if
to the cybernetics laboratory where they built Lull and they had Locutus? And they
They
used
must
for
have been
Jordy's
cracking
probe
up
thing.
if
They
you
must
get
have been
the,
cracking up so much doing these when the outtakes.
How do
it,
the discs don't even have outtakes for this episode on them? How is that possible?
There's too many to fit.
do you think?
Oh, I think Troy got rid of her perm.
If
They didn't
you,
use any. They didn't have any outtakes because they just used them all. They did.
Brent Spiner has a lot of
All
hair there
episodes
on his
outtakes.
forearms.
Yeah.
Unless that's makeup.
No,
They had to glue a bunch of hair on his forearms, probably.
one by one.
Yeah.
That's why I must have had the best of times with this episode.
Can I help
Is there
you,
a-
son?
Is there a word for forearm toupee?
Yes, it's forearm toupee.
do you think if you got in the elevators right now, they'd make like clopping noises like it was a horse?
What's an elevator?
I'm
You
sorry.
mean a turbo lift?
Yes, the turbo lifts.
The Wonkavator.
James Gallagher is wanted for $1,000 for murder and robbery, according to that wanted poster.
We don't want any Girl Scout cookies.
Jeez, that's 32 grand.
What do you mean you don't want Girl Scout
The
cookies? Everybody wants
writers,
Girl
the
Scout
writers had
cookies.
no idea how much money was worth at this time.
Yeah, now I want to go to the store and buy Girl Scout cookies.
How
Just the
come only
single
the
mention of
bad
them.
guys got turned into Data? Is like that? That's awfully convenient for the plot, you know.
Just wait. Just wait.
You're a very funny man, Senor Data. Alright, now we need some good split screen effects.
Mm-hmm.
Double the data. You're a hologram. You don't need to be fed.
That is a good point, though. You do have to feed a prisoner.
Not if he's holographic.
She said her
Well,
name earlier
depends how
in the
much realism
episode.
you want.
You were there.
Without Winchester. What is that facial expression that Brent Spiner is doing? That is not Brent Spiner in the cell right now.
No,
That's
it's
not even close.
totally not.
Who the heck is that guy?
They couldn't composite his hat when it runs over him.
Well, it's an obvious double in the background.
Yeah.
In standard def, you probably wouldn't notice, but in high def, definitely.
It kind of looks like a short John Delancey.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Delancey picking up.
Well, it's probably that guy. If you scroll up in the chat, I posted a picture of the back of a VHS tape for Data Lore episode, and it was the marketing photo they used was before they composited the two shots together. So it was the stand-in and Brent Spiner as Lore, and I think it's that dude.
Hey. Maybe he's not the most honorable person, Worf. Have you considered that?
There's got to be Klingons that have gone back on their word, too, out of a whole planet of people.
What? That's just the Duras house.
So they've got Worf as the sheriff. Do they have a federal marshal there they could talk to?
It's at the
Well,
marshal
they're
will be
not-
coming.
They're not in Kansas City. They're just in some backwater town, Deadwood. They don't got a marshal.
Kansas City is in Missouri.
Yeah.
right? And is
Yes.
there also a Kansas City, Kansas?
I don't think so.
I think there are 2 Kansas cities.
There's Kansas City in Kansas, and there's Kansas City in Oklahoma. And they're like next to each other. It's a
Missouri.
metropolitan area.
It's Kansas City, Missouri.
Oh, Missouri. I'm sorry. They compete with each other to like get businesses to move across town to increase their respective tax bases.
All those big rectangular states start to blur together for me.
Do you think at some point, like,
All fixed up in time
After
for
this
supper with a
episode-
tuna surprise cat food.
Data's
Excuse me?
like,
In Southern, please. That's all fixed up in time for supper.
food?
All fixed up in time for supper with the tuna surprise cat food.
Speaking of cat food dinners, do you think after this episode happened, Data was like talking with some red shirt, and he's like, "Oh, I'm currently working on feline supplement 230," and the red
I know,
shirt's like,
I
"Oh,
ate it."
feline supplement 230 tastes terrible. Trust me."
Old man Newsom. What are you gonna do with an old telegraph machine? It's because he's so
gonna hack the
handsome.
communicator, I guess. Bong.
I was gonna say it's high noon, and I'm like, "Oh no, it's 4
Nah, it's 4 p.m.
o'clock."
How
It's
did they
4
not?
p.m.
Oh, rats! They
There's an
really,
interview-
really should have had a countdown to high noon, though.
There's an interview with Matt Mercer where he's talking about playing Overwatch himself and just, saying voice lines to mess with people. And one of the things he'll do is, instead of saying it's high noon, he'll just say it's 3:45. Very
Can
confusing.
you believe that line actually existed before Overwatch came out?
No, actually, it didn't exist. It was strictly Overwatch.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Overwatch Cowboys had nothing to do with high noon.
Yeah.
Overwatch came out just a couple years ago.
No. What?
There's
Yeah,
no
they
such thing
do.
as
There's
high
a
noon
Western
before
movie.
Overwatch.
There's a literal movie
No,
called High
Overwatch
Noon.
invented
That's a
the
Western.
movie.
Yeah, Overwatch
Yeah,
invented
they
Westerns.
invented the whole genre. Actually, like every part of the United States east of Missouri and west of Missouri and east of California didn't actually exist before Overwatch came out.
Oh, I'm glad you said east of California because I was about to say, am I actually only 3 years old? Am I a replicant?
Well, you actually are a replicant, but not because of Overwatch.
Oh, okay.
I hate to break it to you this way.
So what am I?
You're a
YouTuber.
replicant. We just answered that question.
But where am I from? Am I a Cylon or am I a shapeshifter? Am I?
You're from the Gamma
Terminator.
Quadrant replicant planet.
You're from what's the corporation from Blade Runner? I'm trying to think of it now.
Tyrell Corporation.
Tyrell, thank you. I was gonna say Wayland Yutani, but that's from Alien.
There's so many datas. I think we're up to 5 datas right now.
5
far.
datas would be a fistful.
It would be.
I think
yes.
it should be. Would 8 datas be called a byte?
Maybe.
He
I want a
created a
byte of
personal shield.
datas.
Wait, he created a personal shield.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, so
Now,
now
Worf,
they're
do you
in
want to do
Dune.
something other than stand there and take bullets? Do you want to maybe retaliate?
Does Worf know how firearms?
Apparently not. Why are you tossing a gun?
It's
You
like-
have your own gun. Just shoot him.
It's like where's the
You have to
vaporized
reload
city?
it though.
No, but the dude who threw the gun to him has a shotgun. He can shoot Worf from there.
Maybe it's a he wants to do it himself deal. Oh,
Well, if Mr.
I'm
Hollander
going back
wants to
behind
run a criminal gang, he needs to get over that kind of personal attachment and let his men handle things. Do it. It's not really Data, Worf. Just shoot him. He's a hologram. Use gun on hologram.
So this means that the serial murderer of 23 men goes free.
Yeah.
That doesn't seem like a good story ending.
Multiple serial murderers, yes.
Also, what happened to the Mexican guy up on the roof?
He turned into Data.
Yeah.
No, he just like he's still up there. He's just gonna have to hide up there until he starves to death.
He was one.
Maybe there's a haystack behind the building. He'll just jump off and land. Be safe. Okay, now the moment you were waiting for with your early comments.
Oh boy.
Stand by. Stand by. There you go. This is what you were waiting for. You wanted the lady up on the roof to be Data.
How embarrassing.
That chest. That shiny plastic rubber chest.
Pulls out the gun again.
Wow, Data, you're so beautiful.
They even gave him the beauty mark.
It'd be funny if he got like aggressively hugged and kissed with Data's strength, you know?
He got crushed to death.
Commander, you're hurting me.
Look at that ship. That's kind of cool looking.
No, that's the Oberth class.
Yeah.
That one actually. I don't think it actually is destroyed on screen. But
Biko, that's an anime
it's
reference.
mentioned or appears on a okudagram in Deep Space Nine, which mentions it's been heavily damaged.
I just love destroying Oberths.
Yeah, I had to look this up. I had to look up all the Oberth class ships that appear in the series.
Well, that Oberth
They're
was
just
safe.
disposable.
Come on, Worf, be a father.
You know what else would have been kind of. You know what else would have been a cool way to end the episode? Is if they used the telegram to like. They call in like the cavalry and like more Datas show up and they all fight each other.
I was thinking that it would be used as a means of communicating outside of the hologram.
Worf, what
Is
you doing?
this an emoji? It needs to be.
He should like petition to make that part of his uniform now, and just also carry around like a real gun.
And also have the sash.
Yeah.
Honestly, everyone there should carry a real gun, because there are times when there's some sort of weird field that disables the use of the phasers. Just carry a firearm.
Yeah,
Chemical
like
propellant.
that.
Or
there's like a locker
Borg.
Yeah,
Or a Borg.
maybe there's like a locker.
That's a
full
And
of
they
shotgun
ride off into the
somewhere on the
sunset.
Enterprise.
That's a unique
That
shot.
was
They
the-
never reused that.
Yeah, they really put in a ton of effort to make a fistful of Datas.
How's? Yeah.
But yeah,
Like
that
that,
wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be.
No, it's fun. It's a good episode.
Yeah, that's a very fun episode.
Hey Ryan, after you solve all of the puzzles in Judgment Rights, you want to solve all of the very complex puzzles in the 2013 video game?
I don't have it
Which-
though.
Which video game?
It's just called Star Trek.
Yeah.
The third
Oh,
person
Called
shooter.
09.
Yeah, use gun on man is actually how you solve the puzzles in that.
Well,
one.
yeah, it's a third person shooter. I assume use gun
Well,
on man is the primary solution.
It's a puzzle game.
They say that. I don't think I believe it.
Well, I don't.
No, but I don't own the game. There's-
I could
Unique-
acquire it.
That unique shot of the Enterprise riding off into the sunset.
All right, so let's see.
Shame we don't get more
Tomorrow,
of that.
tomorrow's episodes for DS9 are going to be "You Are Cordially Invited," with the wedding and the Klingon bachelor party, where you have to use your imagination. And then what was that? Resurrection, where Vedic Barile and his chest comes back. and statistical probabilities with the mutants. Not Admiral Patrick, just regular Patrick.
Regular Patrick.
Regular Patrick
The,
for now.
That's a stupid question.
By the way, the Captain Picard said they were rendezvousing or whatever with the ship Biko, B-I-K-O. That's a reference to the character Biko Daidokuji from Project Eiko, which is an anime.
I was thinking of the Vico, which was another class ship which we see destroyed earlier in the series in Hero Worship.
Was it Oberth class?
Gabriel
Yes,
song.
of course it was.
The what from Gabriel? What?
Oh, I said I was thinking of the Peter Gabriel song, Biko.
Well, I think we're done with the stream now. Yeah,
Wrong.
that's it.
Mark Twain's here, and
Mark Twain.
Mark
What?
Twain's gonna talk on stream for the next
So,
hour.
Is the Oberth a clipper ship? Is it a sloop? What's the Oberth class?
It's a coffin.
It's a bad ship.
It's a science ship
The
where everybody
answer,
dies.
Ship or
I'll have you know the correct
answer.
answer is a starship. What registry would that be?
But no,